Chapter 552. Hey, didn't you say that we're not going home until we're drunk? Why are we talking about swordsmanship now? Come. Let's drink. The dishes are going to get cold soon. The 9 swords beyond the swords was an idea that Li Zixuan came up with on the spot. Li Zixuan had no idea if he could come up with a complete set of 9 swords beyond the swords based on the description in Old Man Jin's novel. However, with his current understanding of martial arts, he had the ability to give it a try. However, it was obviously not a good time to give it a try. Hence, he stood up and called out to them. Yes. Let's drink. Let's get Xiao Xian drunk today. Xin, Fei, you two don't know this, but on his wedding day, he asked me, Bao Lin, Huayu, and Huiren to drink for him while he sneaked off to the bridal chamber with the bride. Don't you think this kid is unkind? That time, I was so drunk that I slept for 2 days and 2 nights. Cheng Chumo raised his glass and began to expose Li Zixuan's ugly side to the Dugu brothers. Dugu Feiying rubbed his chin and said hesitantly, That's indeed unkind. I knew it. We're all reasonable people. Feiying, let's take turns getting him drunk today and let him have a taste of his own medicine. Cheng Chumo laughed excitedly as if he had met a soulmate. Dugu Feiying turned his gaze to Dugu Xin. Dugu Xin frowned and said, Chonyo, marriage is something that happens only a few times in a person's life. Xiao Xian must have placed too much importance on it. That's why he asked the few of you to drink for him. I don't think it's too much to ask for a little understanding. Not too much to ask. Cheng Chumo almost vomited blood when he heard this. He had never imagined that Dugu Xin, who had always been cold and indifferent, would say such shameless words that went against his conscience. What the F*** K was going to happen? What the F*** CK? Xin, how did you become such a person? Didn't little Xian just agree to give you the sword manual? You're going against your conscience because of this? F*** CK. I, Old Cheng, have misjudged you. Cheng Chumo glared and said with grief and indignation. Li Zixuan could not help but laugh. Chonyo, isn't it easy for you to get me drunk? I'll give you a chance today, but there's no point in fighting like this. How about we play a game? The loser will drink. Hee. Little Xian, are you talking about rock, paper, scissors? This is good. I'm the best at this. Let's do this. Yuchi Baolin clapped and cheered. Now, finger guessing is fine too. I'm definitely better at this than you, little Xian. Cheng Chumo echoed. Li Zixuan shook his head and said, Not rock, paper, scissors. Let's play a game that no one has played before. That's only fair. What game? There's a game that I, Old Cheng, have not heard of before? Cheng Chumo said in disbelief. The others also looked at them curiously. Li Zixuan smiled and began to explain. The game I'm talking about is called Every 7 Passes. The rules are simple. The 5 of us will pick one person and say any number. For example, if Chonyo says 8, Baolin, you have to say 9, Xin, you have to say 10, and so on. But there's one thing to take note of. Whenever there's a number that's a multiple of 7 or contains 7, that person can't say it out loud. He has to say pass. Those who don't say pass, or those who hesitate for more than 2 breaths will all fail. The loser will be punished by drinking a glass of wine. Then, we'll start the next round from that person. How about it? Now, this game is quite interesting. Why don't we play it? It was the first time Dugu Feiying had heard of such a novel game. He could not help but be interested. On the other hand, Cheng Chumo was smart. He thought about it and shook his head. No, Xiao Xian, you're scamming us again. At the end of the day, this game is still testing one's ability to calculate. In this aspect, if you dare to say that you're second, who would dare to say that they're first? No, I won't do it even if you beat me to death. Who would have thought that this idiot would be enlightened at such a crucial moment? Li Zixuan was amused. Although this game is related to calculating ability, it's also very easy to fail miserably. Okay? After all, it also tests one's reaction speed. Besides, this is my first time playing this game. Let's have a fair competition. Chonyo, if you don't dare to play, you can watch from the side. If you want to play, come and play. Let's use this method to get drunk today. Okay. Count me in. Count me in too. I'll join too. The moment Li Zixuan finished speaking, Dugu Feiying, Yuchi Baolin, and Dugu Xian all expressed their willingness to join. Cheng Chumo said anxiously, "Who said that I don't dare to play? Huh? Who's afraid of who? I'll join too." This idiot rolled up his sleeves and looked like he was about to go all out. He said to Li Zishuan, "Let's begin." Li Zishuan smiled. "Okay, then the first round will start with me." 6. Cheng Chumo was stunned for a moment before he quickly said, "Pass." He was secretly pleased with himself. "You want to scam me so soon? No way." After all, this idiot had spent so much time in the mathematics school where experts gathered. He had learned quite a lot. The ones who were at the losing end were probably the two brothers, Dugu Xian and Dugu Feiying. Yuchi Baolin, 8. Dugu Xian, 9. Dugu Feiying, 10. Li Zishuan, 11. Cheng Chumo, 12. Yuchi Baolin, 13. Dugu Xian, 14. No. When it was Dugu Xian's turn, this honest kid's brain had not yet processed the situation and subconsciously blurted out the answer. "Ha ha ha. Wrong. There's no use regretting it. Drink up, drink up." Cheng Chumo immediately stood up and shouted. At this moment, he felt that this little game was quite interesting. Dugu Xian knew that he had answered wrongly as soon as he said it. Seeing Cheng Chumo's heckling, he did not say anything else and directly raised his head to drink the drunken immortal in one gulp. Then he shouted, "Continue, I say, 20. With the help of the game, their banquet lasted all the way until the sun set in the west. The bustling sounds in their private room could be heard throughout the entire drunken, immortal restaurant. As for the final battle, Dugu Xian and Dugu Feiying drank the most and had to be carried back. It was very easy for the game to fall into a vicious cycle. Those who drank too much would naturally become more and more muddle-headed towards the end, and the number of times they answered wrong would naturally increase. Li Zishuan did not drink that much. This was his first time playing this game in Tang Dynasty, but he had played it many times in his previous life. Naturally, he would not lose to the natives of Tang Dynasty. Chapter 553. While Li Zishuan was having a drink with his friends at the Drunken Immortal restaurant, a storm was raging outside because of him. Shui Xuanji thought that Li Zishuan was just bragging when he said that he would destroy the 7 cultivators of true virtue by himself. Therefore, he arranged for people to spread the news and make everyone think that Li Zishuan was just a braggart. Who would have thought that the corpse of the 7 cultivators of true virtue serpent would be hung in front of the Li residence, proving that Li Zishuan was not just bragging and that he had the strength to destroy the 7 cultivators of true virtue. But when Shui Xuanji learned that Li Zishuan had destroyed the 7 cultivators of true virtue, the people he sent to spread the news had already spread it out. It was too late to regret. Oh, so that Li Xianan had made a military order in front of His Majesty to destroy the 7 cultivators of true virtue by himself. He is truly a young hero. Yes. Previously, the imperial court was unable to defeat the 7 cultivators of true virtue. Who would have thought that Li Xianan would have the courage to deal with the 7 cultivators of true virtue by himself? He is truly amazing. Hell, it's no wonder that the imperial court's army was unable to defeat him. Look at the size of that serpent. Who can compete with this beast in terms of strength? Moreover, this thing is definitely poisonous. Fortunately, Li Xianan was able to take down the 7 cultivators of true virtue by himself. Otherwise, we would have lost a lot of good men like last time. Today, many people in Chang and City had heard that Li Zishuan had made a military order to destroy the 7 cultivators of true virtue by himself. But not long after, they heard that Li Zishuan had killed the 7-headed serpent of the 7 cultivators of true virtue on the Snake Spirit Mountain. Therefore, many people came to the Li residence to watch the show. Lord Zhu had personally come out and said something. He said that the people of the 7 cultivators of true virtue had repeatedly tried to harm him and his family, flouting the law of the state. Therefore, His Majesty had sent troops to deal with them. Then, the 7 cultivators of true virtue deserved it. I heard that Li Xianan was like a divine soldier descending from the heavens and killing all the people of the 7 cultivators of true virtue by surprise. Did you see the fire in the northeast last night? When this old man woke up last night, I was shocked. I thought some rich family had caught fire. From the looks of it, the fire last night must have come from the 7 cultivators of true virtue. This, Lordly, is so powerful. One person annihilating an entire sect? How'd he do it? Hey, that's what a genius is. In the eyes of these commoners, Li Zishuan was able to wipe out the entire sect single-handedly when not even the imperial court's army could handle the Jianghu sects. Naturally, he was very powerful. Therefore, Li Zishuan became the idol of many people. Of course, he had also become the nightmare of many people. Sect leader, why have you gathered everyone here? Mount Zhongnan, a certain second-rate sect in the pugilistic world. The sect leader was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He looked at the 200 or so disciples in the field and said loudly, "Today, this old man will announce a major event that concerns the life and death of our sect. Everyone must listen to me carefully. In the future, if anyone dares to violate this, they will be expelled from the sect. Do you understand?" Everyone was shocked. They wanted to ask what kind of matter could concern the life and death of their sect, but when they saw the sect leader's serious and fierce face, they could only reply in unison, "We understand." The sect leader nodded with satisfaction and continued, "In a while, each of you will come and get a portrait. You must remember the person in the portrait. If you meet him in Chang and city in the future, you must remember that you must not provoke this person. Otherwise, you will be expelled from the sect. Do you understand?" At this moment, everyone, from the disciples to the elders, was dumbfounded. Although their sect was only a second-rate sect, there was no one who was worthy of their fear. If they offended someone, they could just go and apologize, and the matter would be over. Was there a need to call everyone together with such great fanfare? Do you all understand? Seeing that no one answered him for a long time, the sect leader angrily repeated himself, "Understood, understood." At this time, everyone finally reacted and agreed. "Yes, good. Come and receive the portrait first and take a good look at it. If you meet the real person in the future, don't recklessly offend him." In a luxurious house in the south of Chang and city. "Granduncle, the plan this time has failed. Not only did I fail to ruin Li Zishuan's reputation, but I also made him more popular in the hearts of the people. I deserve to die." In the afternoon, Cui Xuanji first asked the servants who had been sent out to spread the false news to come back. Then he came to the room to report. On the soft couch in the room, a white-haired old man was half-sitting. It was Cui Xuanji's granduncle, Cui Junchuo. Cui Junchuo was Cui Shanfu's uncle and the uncle of the 3 Dugu empresses. However, as early as the Sui dynasty, because of being implicated by the dethroned crown Prince Yang Yong, Cui Junchuo was removed from his position and exiled. His wife and children's properties were all confiscated, and his daughter was also sent to Yeding. Later, Yang Guang became the emperor, and the daughter of the Cui family was doted on by him. Yang Guang then issued another imperial edict, absolving Cui Junchuo and the others of their crimes, restoring his title of nobility and also giving him some properties. However, Yang Guang courted disaster and destroyed the great Sui dynasty in just a few years. Now that the great Tang dynasty was ruled, Cui Junchuo, the head of the Qinghe Cui family's Zhengzhou branch, was just a decoration of the Li family. Cui Junchuo still had the title of Duke of the East County, but he only received a title without any real power. Even his title was a fake one, and he didn't have any real title. In Chang'an City, he was just waiting to die. However, as the head of the Qinghe Cui family's Zhengzhou branch, Cui Junchuo still had a lot of power. "Sai, I've heard about this matter. That Li Zishuan was able to destroy the 7 cultivators of virtue by himself, which was beyond my expectations. I can't blame you for this. You will have a chance to fight in the future. Don't be discouraged." Cui Junchuo sighed and comforted him helplessly. Hearing this, Cui Xuanji breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Thank you, granduncle." However, the process of how Li Zishuan destroyed the 7 cultivators of virtue must be very special. Xuanji, tell your father to investigate this matter. Chui Junshuo ordered with his eyes closed. Yes, Granduncle. West City, outside the drunken, immortal restaurant. Li Zixuan couldn't help but find it funny when he saw the four drunken brothers shouting that they wanted to continue playing being sent back to their respective homes. He thought to himself, isn't this just a little game on the drinking table? Wait until there's a werewolf game in the future. Won't this group of people play all day long? Shaking his head, Li Zixuan got on the carriage and went home. Chapter 554. At night. In a mansion on the east side of the East County Duke's mansion. Xuanji. This is how Li Zixuan destroyed the 7 cultivators of true virtue. This kid is ruthless and ruthless. I'm afraid we can't afford to offend him. In the study, Chui Shanfu looked at his son and smiled bitterly. After listening to him, Chui Xuanji couldn't help but be shocked. After a long while, he came back to his senses and said, Father, how did Li Zixuan fly up to Snake Spirit Mountain? I've never heard of any tool that can fly so high. Chui Shanfu spread out his hands and said, You're not the only one who hasn't heard of it. I've lived for decades, but I've never heard of such a strange thing. As for what tool that kid used, he was afraid that it would be leaked in the imperial court, so he didn't say on the spot. This brat is really crafty. Chui Xuanji said regretfully, That's really a pity. Li Zixuan is a novelty one after another. With his help, the imperial court will only become stronger and stronger, and the status of our aristocratic families will become lower and lower. Chui Shanfu also understood this, but the decline of the aristocratic families had already formed. How could they turn the tide with just their family alone? He sighed and got up. The current emperor is a rare, sacred lord, and Li Zixuan can also be regarded as a good minister. What can we do with a good minister and a sacred lord? Let's just wait for the right opportunity. Xuanji, I called you here today to tell you that we shouldn't provoke Li Zixuan in the future. Although he said in the imperial court that there was only one true Qi iron ball, who knows if he was lying or not? If he were to throw out another one, none of our families would be able to take it. Fortunately, you did it secretly this time. Now that Een Batian and Snake King are dead, he won't be able to trace it back to us. But, Father, Chui Xuanji was unwilling to give up and wanted to say something, but Chui Shanfu didn't give him a chance. He waved his hand and interrupted. No buts. This matter is over. Xuanji, pack up and prepare to return to Zhengzhou. There's too much right and wrong in Chang, and Zhengzhou is our route. In the early Tang Dynasty, Zhengzhou was still called Zhengzhou. However, in the Tianbao era, Zhengzhou was renamed Xinjiang County. Dad, I'm not going back. Chui Xuanji, who was used to the prosperity of Chang, and could not bear to go back. He retorted with a red face. Bastard, how dare you not listen to your father? You have to go back this time. There was no room for negotiation. Chui Shanfu glared at Chui Xuanji and grunted angrily, and then he flicked his sleeve and left, leaving Chui Xuanji on the spot with an ashen expression. On this day, after Li Zixuan finished his breakfast, he took a horse carriage and went to Cloud Mountain with his guards. The matter on Snake Spirit Mountain had delayed him for a long time. In addition, after returning from Snake Spirit Mountain, he had to deal with Li Er, deal with the courtiers, and help Dugu Ixan deduce the 9 strategies beyond the swords. In total, he had not been to the construction site for more than half a month. He didn't know how the construction of the academy was going. Speaking of the 9 strategies beyond the swords, it could be said that he had dug a pit for himself because he had been continuously deducing it at home for 4 or 5 days, but he still hadn't completely deduced it. However, it couldn't be said that it was a complete failure because he had comprehended something from the deduction these days. The most intuitive manifestation was that his 9 strategies beyond the swords now had a kind of invincible arrogance and a kind of calmness that could predict the enemy's moves. However, in terms of the 9 strategies beyond the swords, he had only managed to deduce 3 moves: the sword-breaking move, the knife-breaking move, and the spear-breaking move. Moreover, when he connected them together, he felt that something was wrong. After a few more days of deduction, even someone as strong as Lisa Schwan couldn't take it anymore. He felt that his head was hurting. Therefore, he decisively decided not to think about it anymore. He attached the 3 sword moves that he had deduced and the information of the 9 strategies beyond the swords that he could recall on a piece of paper and handed it to Dugu Xin for him to slowly think about it. As the saying went, it was better to trick others than to trick oneself. Lisa Schwan was very good at this kind of thing. However, this was going to be tough for Dugu Xin because in terms of martial arts realm, he was not as good as Lisa Schwan. In terms of spiritual power, he was even weaker. Therefore, he had to use a hammer to deduce the sword moves. Wow, the progress is really fast. When he reached the peak of the Cloud Mountain, Lisa Schwan saw that on the originally barren Cloud Mountain, there were actually many half-built red brick houses. Although these houses were only 2 to 3 zhang tall and didn't have a roof, Lisa Schwan was still very happy to see them. This mountain was going to be the foundation of his future in Tang Dynasty. What made him even happier was that there were many cement roads on the Cloud Mountain. Walking on them, Lisa Schwan couldn't help but feel a sense of familiarity. It was as if he had returned to the modern era. However, that was destined to be impossible because the air here was so fresh. There wasn't even a trace of industrial dust. How could it be the modern era? Hey. All right. Both of you pull with all your might. Not far away, Li Tai, the little fatty, was instructing the commoners to use a hemp rope to pull a basket of red bricks. The hemp rope went around a tall frame, and as the 2 commoners slowly pulled, the basket of red bricks also slowly rose. On the ladder next to the wall, there was a craftsman holding a shovel, waiting for the bricks to be transported over. Squeak, squeak. Perhaps it was because there were too many bricks in the basket. The friction between the hemp rope and the support frame made unpleasant squeaking noises. Lisa Schwan was originally still wondering where Li Tai, that little fatty, got such an ugly beggar's version of a crane. At this moment, he suddenly shouted with a face full of shock, "Chinke, get out of the way for me." Although he was shouting, his feet didn't stop moving. This was because he saw that the hemp rope was already 2/3 broken, and Li Tai was standing right below the bamboo basket. If the bamboo basket fell from such a height, Li Tai's head would definitely be like a watermelon that fell to the ground. By then, the entire Tang Empire would be shaken. Thinking about it, if the great king of Wei died at the construction site of Lisa Schwan Academy, not to mention how the courtiers would impeach him, Lisa Schwan would probably even have the thought of killing Lisa Schwan. Even without considering the feelings of Lisa Schwan and the courtiers, Lisa Schwan didn't want to see anything happen to Li Tai. This little fatty was a disciple that he valued a lot. How dare you? Who dares to call themselves my father? Hearing the roar, Li Tai was enraged. Other than Lisa Schwan, there was probably no one in the world who dared to call themselves his father. Crack! At this moment, the hemp rope finally couldn't withstand the weight and completely broke from the middle. With a whoosh, the bamboo basket fell rapidly and went straight for Li Tai's head. Chapter 555. Be careful, Captain. The moment the rope broke, the 2 workers felt their hands loosen and almost fell. When they came back to their senses, they wanted to rush forward to save Li Tai. Gu Xiaomao, the vice-captain of the 8th team of the 1st Regiment, was waiting for Li Tai to succeed in his experiment. However, when he saw this scene, he was scared out of his wits and his legs went soft. Perhaps ordinary people didn't know about Li Tai's identity, but he knew about it. If something happened to Li Tai here today, he would definitely not be able to escape. He might even implicate his family. Thinking of this, Gu Xiaomao's face turned pale. He wanted to save Li Tai, but his legs were so weak that he couldn't move at all. F***CK. Li Tai looked up and was almost scared to death. He subconsciously wanted to run away, but with his body size and his slow reaction, how could he escape before the bamboo basket fell? Seeing that the bamboo basket was getting closer and closer to his head, Li Tai couldn't help but shout in his heart, "This prince is going to die today." Lisa Schwan, oh, Lisa Schwan, this prince is using my life to help you build the academy. When you return, remember to burn something interesting for this king to bring to the underworld. Off. Bang. Just as Li Tai closed his eyes and cursed in his heart, he suddenly felt a gust of wind beside him. Following that, he heard a dull thud. He couldn't help but wonder. So many bricks hit my head, but it doesn't hurt. It seems like people don't feel pain after death. F***CK. Of course you don't feel any F***king pain, because I caught it for you. Li Zeshuan, who was holding the bamboo basket with one hand, scolded in annoyance. He was really angered by this little fatty, which was why he called him daddy twice in a row. Fortunately, there were no outsiders here, or else he would definitely report him. In this situation, if Li Zeshuan had come a tenth of a second later, Li Tai's life would have been gone. How could Li Zeshuan not be angry? Little Xian, why are you here? Huh, I'm not dead. I'm not dead. Little Xian is awesome. You can even catch such a heavy basket of bricks. Amazing, amazing. Li Tai opened his eyes. When he saw Li Zeshuan holding the bamboo basket, he was first shocked, then a burst of joy from surviving a calamity arose spontaneously. He jumped away from the bottom of the bamboo basket with lingering fear and then laughed loudly. Li Zeshuan's face couldn't help but twitch. He threw the basket of bricks in his hand to the side and said with a fierce expression, "Brat, if you want to move bricks, then do it properly. Why are you standing under the bamboo basket? If I didn't come over today, who would be able to bear the responsibility if something happened? Do you know how many innocent people will die because of you?" Cough, cough. Li Tai's face turned red and said with shame, "I just wanted to observe the operation of the brick-moving machine from this angle and see if there are any improvements to be made. I didn't expect that such a thick rope couldn't even handle a few bricks. I didn't think it through and miscalculated." F***CK. Li Zeshuan shook the hand that just caught the basket and couldn't help but interrupt. "You call this a few bricks? Damn it. Can't you guys get a bigger bamboo basket? This big basket of bricks is at least 200 pounds. Can't you use a smaller bamboo basket for your experiment?" Li Tai glanced at Li Zeshuan's hand and muttered, "How can I do experiments with a smaller bamboo basket? This brick-moving machine is specially made to be lazy." Li Zeshuan said angrily, "What did you say? Boss, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have let the captain do this. I should have let everyone carry the bricks properly." Gu Xiaomao finally came back to his senses. He came to Li Zeshuan and bowed repeatedly to apologize. Li Tai stared and said, "Gu Xiaomao, I want to do this. It's none of your business. You shut up first." Li Zeshuan snorted and then said sternly to Gu Xiaomao, "Gu Xiaomao, you are indeed responsible for this. Even though Qin Ke is doing the same things as you, eating the same food, and sleeping in the same room, you know very well how important the responsibility is to him. I'm not asking you to give him preferential treatment. He will do what he should do himself. But as the vice captain, you have to pay attention to his safety at all times. Qin Ke was standing under the basket just now. Didn't you think that there would be danger? If something happened to him here today, do you think you'll have a good time?" Gu Xiaomao's face was pale as he replied bitterly, "I won't have a good time. I'm sorry, boss. I didn't think it through and didn't take precautions. It's all my fault. No matter how you punish me, I won't have any complaints." Li Tai couldn't stand it and wanted to speak up for Gu Xiaomao. Li Zeshuan glared at him and stared back at him. Li Zeshuan waved his hand and said to Gu Xiaomao, "All right, you should reflect on yourself. What happened today can't happen a second time. Otherwise, you won't have a good time, and I won't have a good time either. Do you understand?" Gu Xiaomao quickly bowed and said, I understand. Li Zeshuan nodded and turned to Li Tai and said fiercely, "Qin Ke, come with me." After saying that, he walked to the house next door. The simple temporary combat command room had now become a one-story brick house. "Oh." Li Tai shrunk his neck and replied sullenly. Today's Li Zeshuan was too fierce. Even he was a little scared. "Say it. What the hell is that brick-moving machine? Why do you want to make it?" In the room, seeing that Li Tai had followed him in, Li Zeshuan asked expressionlessly. Speaking of the brick-moving machine, Li Tai immediately became confident. He smiled proudly and said, "Hee, this is my Li Tai's exclusive invention." Previously, the craftsman said that if we were to build the academy according to the blueprint, we would have to use the method of filling in the ground. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to continue building the walls. I thought that was too troublesome, so I thought of this idea of sending bricks up from below. Lisa Schwan asked sullenly, "Filling the ground? What's that?" Li Tai heard and immediately said with disdain, "Damn, you don't even know about the method of filling in the ground? I really have to give it to you. What's with the nonsense? I asked you, just answer." Okay. After Li Tai's explanation, Lisa Schwan finally understood that the method of filling in the ground was to use soil to bury the bottom part of the building. After the top part was covered, the soil was removed. This was also the method that the ancient people used to build high-rise buildings. After all, in this era, there was no lifting equipment. After listening to Li Tai's explanation, Lisa Schwan was speechless and said, "So, that's why you made such a lousy toy? You're such a clever little brat." Chapter 556. Little Smarty Boy. Li Tai's face turned green when he heard Lisa Schwan calling him that. He shouted, "F***CK, you're the little smarty boy. Also, you can insult me, but you can't insult the brick-moving machine I made. I thought about it for a long time before I came up with it." When Lisa Schwan heard this, he was almost amused by this little fatty. He laughed and said, "Insult you? How did I insult you? Also, what kind of brick-moving machine is this? What the hell are you making? Have you considered the stability of the base? Have you ever thought that the friction between the hemp rope and the frame will be too strong? Have you ever thought that if the goods are heavier, the workers won't be able to move them? Have you ever done a stress analysis on the frame?" With Lisa Schwan's series of questions, Li Tai couldn't help but be stunned. He muttered, "If the goods are too heavy to move, you can ask more people to do it. But what is friction? What is stability? What is stress analysis? Oof. You didn't even do a theoretical analysis, and you want to put it into practice? You can only fail if you put it into practice." Li Tai was unconvinced and said, "This is just an accident. Next time, it will be better than this." "Huh. If you don't change your method, you won't be able to do it even if I give you a year." Lisa Schwan, who had done countless research projects in school in his previous life, knew that before a new technology was born, there must be careful theoretical analysis. Without a theoretical basis, trying to do it recklessly was tantamount to a blind man trying to figure out an elephant. The efficiency would be greatly reduced. "Huh. If you're so capable, come and do it. You've been gone for more than half a month. I thought you would only come back after the academy was built." Li Tai was a little annoyed. He sat on the stool next to him and complained loudly. Speaking of this, Lisa Schwan felt that he was in the wrong and didn't want to argue anymore. He touched his nose and said awkwardly, "Ahem, I came back to Chang'an to do something. Now that the matter is settled, I will come here more often." Little Fatty curled his lips and said, "I know you're busy. Our great hero single-handedly annihilated an entire clan. How awe-inspiring. TSK, TSK." It had been a long time since that incident happened, so Li Tai obviously knew about it. But his tone was a bit. Lisa Schwan raised his hand and said angrily, "F***CK? If you have something to say, can't you just talk nicely? Why do you have to be so sarcastic? Are you asking for a beating?" Little Fatty immediately cowered and hurriedly said, "How am I being sarcastic? This prince is praising you. Sigh, don't hit. At most, I won't tell Imperial Father about you calling yourself lousy in front of me." Lisa Schwan was stunned. Then he sneered, "Huh? Do you dare to say it?" Li Tai rolled his eyes. Of course, he didn't dare to say it. If he said it, Li Er and Emperor Zhangsun would know that he was almost killed at the construction site today. In that case, he wouldn't be able to come out easily in the future. "Go give me a pen and paper. I want charcoal. Shouting should have it." Lisa Schwan smiled and said suddenly, What do you want to do?" Li Tai didn't react and said in a daze. Lisa Schwan said unhappily, "What can I do? To give you a lesson. Today, I'll show you what a real brick-moving machine is." When Li Tai heard that, he wasn't displeased by Lisa Schwan's impatient tone at all. Instead, he was overjoyed and said, "Ha. Good. I'll go get you a pen and paper." Although he felt that he wasn't much worse than Lisa Schwan before he built the brick-moving machine, He realized the gap between them after he almost lost his life. When he heard that Li Zexuan wanted to help improve the brick-moving machine, he was happy. Lord Zhu, let me do such a small thing. Brother Chicken, who came with Li Zexuan today, came over and cupped his fists. He muttered in his heart. Only my Lord Zhu would dare to ask the Emperor's favorite prince to help get a pen and paper. Before Li Zexuan could say anything, Li Tai patted Brother Chicken's arm and said, I'll go get it. You stay here. After saying that, he went out. Brother Chicken stood there, stunned and speechless. Li Zexuan laughed and said, when a student helps a teacher get a pen and paper, even the ministers in the imperial court won't say anything. Feiji, you're overthinking it. Pang Feiji said, you're right, Lord Zhu. Master, Master. At this moment, there was a knock on the door, followed by Iron Egg's shout. Come in. Li Zexuan hurriedly said, Master, how do you have time to come over? As soon as he said that, Iron Egg walked in with Lon. Iron Egg was the first to greet them with a smile. Lana hadn't seen Li Zexuan for a long time. She hugged Li Zexuan's arm and giggled. Brother, brother, you're finally here. Lana missed you so much. Li Zexuan waved at Iron Egg, indicating that he didn't need to be so polite. Then, he rubbed Lana's braids and smiled dotingly. Huh, little girl, you know how to lie too? If you miss me, why don't you go home? You must be playing wild here and can't bear to go home. He hadn't returned to Cloud Mountain for more than half a month, but Lana hadn't returned home for more than half a month either. He had been staying at Han Tianhu's house these days, sleeping in Han Yushi's room in the past. During this period, Madame Li felt worried and came to visit a few times. However, when she left, Lana couldn't bear to leave no matter what, so Madame Li didn't force her. It was said that this girl had now dominated the Han and Mei villages and had become the king of the children here. Usually, she would follow Iron Egg to Cloud Mountain to watch the fun and see strange things, or she would instruct her friends to dig for bird eggs, or she would become a teacher and teach others how to read and write. She was really carefree. No way. Lana is busy. Brother, are you thirsty? I'll get you some water. The little girl shook Li Zexuan's arm embarrassedly and said sweetly. Li Zexuan laughed and joked, haha, how can I trouble my family's missy? Brother isn't thirsty. Go play by yourself. Lana wrinkled her nose and said unhappily, humph. Stinky brother, you still treat Lana as a child. I'm not leaving today. I'm going to follow you. Little Xian, I brought a pen and paper. Iron Egg, you're here too. Just as Li Zexuan was having a headache over Lana, Li Tai finally came back with a pen and paper. When he saw Iron Egg in the house, he greeted him a little unnaturally. Iron Egg nodded and said, yes, by the way, Chinke, yesterday, I heard that you're going to test the brick-moving machine you recently invented. How was it, Li Tai? Chapter 557. Iron Egg, do you still need to ask? Look at Brother Green Sparrow's expression. He must have failed. I told you that without my brother's help, he wouldn't have succeeded. Lana pointed at Li Tai and giggled. Don't expose someone's shortcomings. Lana's words could be said to be ruthless, directly stabbing into Li Tai's heart. The little fatty's face darkened, and he almost vomited a mouthful of blood. Li Zexuan was afraid that he would be too embarrassed, so he said to Lana, all right. Lana, go and have fun. I'll come and find you when I'm done. After that, he took the pen and paper from Li Tai's hands and walked to the desk at the side and sat down. Lana saw this and understood that Li Zexuan was going to be busy with business, and it was all business that she was not interested in. Hence, she replied with an "oh" and went out. Li Tai heaved a sigh of relief and came over to ask curiously, Xiao Xian, what kind of brick-moving machine are you going to design? Can it compare to mine? Li Zexuan's charcoal pencil paused, and he sneered, haha, you still have the nerve to compare your broken toy with mine? You could just watch from the side. After that, he was too lazy to talk nonsense and began to concentrate on drawing. Speaking of the crane, it was necessary to talk about the pulley block on the crane. Other than the hydraulic transmission mechanism, the most important part of the crane was the pulley block. The fixed pulley block was a fixed fulcrum and prevented the rope from being messed up. The moving pulley block was mainly used to save effort. As long as the design of the pulley block was reasonable, it was not unusual for a person to pull up a 500 kilograms heavy object. Let's make a simple crane first. Lisa Schwann instantly had an idea. The crane's base, connecting rod, pulley block, lifting mechanism, and luffing mechanism all appeared in his mind. These components, under Lisa Schwann's pen, quickly formed a beggar's crane with wheels. There was no other way. Although Lisa Schwann could draw a 3D model of the modern large-scale cranes, almost all of them were hydraulic cranes. Even if he could draw one, it could not be done with the industrial level of this era. Hence, after thinking about it, he could only make a human-powered crane with pulley blocks as the core. You're done. Li Tai saw that Lisa Schwann had stopped and could not help but ask. Lisa Schwann nodded and said, yes. Li Tai furrowed his brows and picked up the drawing. After looking at it for a long time, a trace of surprise appeared on his face. He praised, this little wheel's design is good. With this thing, the hemp rope will suffer much less wear and tear in the future. I don't have to worry about the rope breaking anymore. Lisa Schwann said with a faint smile, oh, not bad. Chinke, it's not easy for you to see this, but you only know one part of it and not the other. Iron Egg, come and take a look. What's the use of the wheel on the side of the connecting rod? Yes, master. Iron Egg walked over and began to look at the drawing seriously. After a while, he hesitated and said, master, in addition to the wheel at the top of the connecting rod, there's probably something else that's connected to the bottom. Lisa Schwann looked at Iron Egg with appreciation and said with a smile, not bad, not bad. Iron Egg, you're very accurate. Do you know what's the mystery of this wheel? Iron Egg said embarrassedly, sorry, master. I can't see it. Li Tai muttered, it's just a broken wheel. What mystery can there be? Lisa Schwann was too lazy to bicker with little Fatty. He pointed to the drawing and explained to them. Iron Egg, Chinke, I call this small wheel a pulley. The top is called fixed pulley. You can all guess its function. It's used to fix the fulcrum, prevent the rope from messing up, and reduce the wear and tear of the rope. The bottom pulley is called moving pulley. It's very useful. It can save half of the strength. Iron Egg and Li Tai were shocked and said in disbelief, save half of the strength? How is that possible? Lisa Schwann smiled indifferently and said, how is it not possible? When using moving pulley, the hook weight is suspended by 2 pieces of rope. Each piece of rope only bears half of the weight of the hook weight. This way, the person pulling the rope only needs half of the strength to pull it. In the future, when you learn another course, physics, you will know a theorem that the power multiplied by the moving arm is equal to the resistance multiplied by the moving arm. The moving pulley's moving arm is twice as long as the moving arm, so the power is half of the resistance. At that time, you can use this theorem to analyze, and you will find that the moving pulley is indeed labor-saving in principle. Although Lisa Schwann's words contained many technical terms that Li Tai had never heard of before, little Fatty still felt that Lisa Schwann's words were very reasonable. He pinched his chin and fell in a deep thought. Iron Egg nodded confusedly and asked doubtfully, Master, if it's really like what you said, then if we use more moving pulleys, won't we be able to lift thousands of pounds of heavy objects with very little strength? Lisa Schwann nodded approvingly and said with a smile, Iron Egg, your question is very good. That's right. In theory, it is indeed like this. Do you remember what I told you before? When engineering is developed to the extreme, ordinary people can lift thousands of pounds of boulders. Master didn't lie to you. Li Tai's eyes widened and he was shocked speechless. What Lisa Schwann said was tantamount to a fantasy to him. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was the means of immortals. Iron Egg nodded excitedly and said, Yes, yes. Master, I remember. I didn't expect to see such a wonderful scene so soon. Lisa Schwann smiled and shook his head. But although in theory, the more moving pulleys, the more labor-saving it is, it involves the question of whether it is worth it. What's not worth it? Iron Egg asked in puzzlement. Lisa Schwann said with a smile. Although using a moving pulley saves energy, the distance it moves is twice as far as the distance it moves the hook. That is, it consumes a lot of distance, and that brings up the issue of efficiency. For example, using a wooden stick to pry open an ant, and using a wooden stick to pry open an elephant. Do you think the wooden stick is labor-saving or labor-intensive? It's the same with pulleys. If you use pulleys that can lift thousands of pounds of boulders to lift a basket of bricks, the pulleys will probably be heavier than the bricks. It's definitely not worth it. So when deciding the number of pulleys, you must consider the actual situation. The size of the horse should match the size of the saddle. Don't do more useless work. There were not many technical terms in these words, so it was not difficult to understand. Iron Egg and Li Tai both seemed to understand something after listening and fell in a deep thought. Iron Egg understands. Thank you for your teachings. After a long time, Iron Egg came back to his senses and solemnly clasped his hands. Li Tai also came back to his senses. He said seriously, after listening to Master's words, Tai has also benefited a lot. Thank you very much. At this time, he realized that Li Zishuan was right. The brick-moving machine he made was indeed a piece of junk. Chapter 558. All right. It's good that you guys understand. Feiji, get someone to send the blueprint to the workshop now. The structure of this thing is simple, so it shouldn't be too difficult to make. Get Faubert to arrange for someone to make one today to try it out. Li Zishuan put away the blueprint on the table, handed it to Pang Feiji, and instructed him. When he was explaining the principles of the pulley block to Iron Egg and Li Tai, he didn't deliberately ask Pang Feiji to avoid it. Therefore, Pang Feiji was very clear about the importance of this blueprint. He took the blueprint with both hands and said solemnly, Lord Ju, this thing is so important that I have to make a trip personally. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, I'll really die 1,000 times. Li Zishuan smiled and didn't refuse. Brother Chicken took the blueprint and went out. Chinke, Iron Egg, let's go. Follow me for a walk. Li Zishuan watched Pang Feiji leave, and then said to the two people in the room, Okay, Master. Master, look at these tall buildings. It hasn't even been a month since the start of construction, and so many have already been built. Iron Egg has never heard of this speed before. Iron Egg said, emotionally as he walked on the cement road at the top of the mountain and looked at the rows of half-finished buildings beside him. Li Tai heard him and said with a smile, What's so strange about this? Iron Egg, why don't you see how many craftsmen and commoners we've hired here? There's strength in numbers, so naturally, we can't use common sense to measure this. Just the cost of wages and food on this construction site every day isn't something that ordinary people can afford. Li Zishuan nodded and said, There's strength in numbers. That's right. However, after the crane is made, the construction speed will definitely be faster. Crane? What's a crane? Li Tai was puzzled. Li Zishuan patted his head. He just remembered that he was just explaining the principles of the pulley block to them and forgot to tell them that thing was a crane. So he said, The crane is the improved version of the brick-moving machine that I just designed. I feel that it's definitely not just for moving bricks, so I called it crane. Iron Egg said excitedly, Crane? That's a good name. In fact, he previously felt that the name of Li Tai's brick-moving machine was too old-fashioned, but he didn't say it out of consideration. Boss Ming, bring 2 men with you to move these bricks up. There's not enough over there. I'm going. At this moment, Li Zishuan suddenly heard an incomparably familiar voice. He looked toward the source of the voice and saw a person he would never have thought of. It was the little idiot's son Ziffin. He pointed at the little idiot in astonishment and asked, Why is this kid here? Seeing Li Zishuan's astonished look, Li Tai said proudly, If this king can be here, why can't son Ziffin be here? Li Zishuan was stunned for a moment before he reacted and asked, This kid was brought here by you, Chinke? Li Tai nodded and smiled. Of course. Not only him, Wang Ming, Lu Yin, Huiran, Huayu, Yu Donkai, Kushir Qing, Zheng Ziren, and the rest are all here. This king can't be sunbathing alone in the wilderness while they enjoy life at home, right? It's just that Cho-Ox said that he could only come tomorrow. That's a bit of a scam. However, more than half of the people from the school were called by me. How about it? I'm awesome, right? After Li Tai said that He put on an expression of wanting to be praised and quietly waited for Lisa Xuan to praise him. Lisa Xuan was stunned when he heard that. He thought for a moment and suddenly asked in disbelief, "Ke Qing, Zhang Ziren, Lu Yin? The three of them are here too?" If he remembered correctly, when he decided to build his own college and leave the Imperial College, although half of the students from the school were willing to follow him to Yanhuang College, Ke Qing, Zhang Ziren, and Lu Yin, who were top-notch students but were not from official families, did not say that they wanted to come to Yanhuang College on the spot. Now, they were urged to come by Li Tai. It was a bit unbelievable. Li Tai understood what Lisa Xuan was thinking and replied with a smile. "Xiao Xian, are you trying to say that they didn't agree to come to Yanhuang College?" Huh. Maybe at that time, they were hesitant to come to Yanhuang College and lose their future. But how many idiots are there in our school? Xiao Xian, you made so much news recently. Even idiots know that only by coming to Yanhuang College can they learn real knowledge. Also, I have to admit that you're quite charming. As far as I know, many students in the school have fallen out with their families in order to study under you. Lisa Xuan was silent for a while. To be honest, when he left the Imperial College, he was sad to see those students wavering, but he definitely did not blame them. After all, this so-called Yanhuang College was just a mediocre private school in his previous life. It was unrealistic to ask people to give up Tsinghua or Peking University to go to a small school like yours. He just felt a sense of loss that the talents he had painstakingly nurtured were taken advantage of by others. He did not have any resentment, but he did not expect those students to put in so much effort during this period. After a while, Lisa Xuan turned his head and asked, "But most of them are spoiled since they were young. What can they do to help if they come here?" Li Tai heard him and said angrily, "F***CK? What are you talking about? They're spoiled since they were young? Aren't I the same? Why can't they do the things that I can do?" Lisa Xuan's face was full of black lines. He had almost forgotten about this. Qing K is right. Xiao Xian, not only can your students help, but they've also helped a lot. At this time, Yin Xiaoning appeared out of nowhere and walked to Lisa Xuan's side and interrupted. "Xiaoning? It's really been a long time." Huh. When Lisa Xuan saw him, he gave him a brotherly bear hug without hesitation. "Hey, let go, let go." Yin Xiaoning was not used to such an intimate way of greeting. He quickly pushed Lisa Xuan away and said angrily, "F***CK, you still have the cheek to say that. When you left the last time, you said that you would be back in a few days. In the end, this time, you left for more than half a month. I'm so F***king pissed." Cough, cough. Lisa Xuan coughed awkwardly and said shamelessly, "Didn't I already compensate you just now? Speaking of which, not many people in the Tang Dynasty can enjoy my hug. Get lost." Yin Xiaoning roared angrily. "Ugh, so disgusting." Li Tai covered his mouth, indicating that he could not stand this gay scene. Lisa Xuan waved his hand nonchalantly and said, "This is romance between men. What do you know?" "Oh, right, Xiaoning, you said that these students have helped a lot? What do you mean?" Chapter 559. Yin Xiaoning didn't know what romance was between men, but he knew that Lisa Xuan was just joking. Now that they were talking about serious matters, he became serious and said, "Although these students from the Institute of Mathematics can't be compared to those commoners in terms of physique, they are all very smart. Basically, each of them can lead a team of dozens of people. They're very good at the allocation of various tasks and the budget of materials and supplies. Although these 10,000 people could work in an orderly manner in the past, with the addition of these students, I can clearly feel that the entire construction corps' work efficiency has increased by a lot. Moreover, Shaoxian, the academy that you want to build, has many buildings that have never appeared in my Tang Empire before. During the actual construction, there will always be various kinds of problems. A while ago, it really gave me a headache. Fortunately, Qingke called in these students from the Institute of Mathematics. You don't say. These students of yours are very different from those bookworms that only know how to read the 4 books and 5 classics. They can really apply what they have learned. Many of them may not be familiar with the work here when they first came, but after a few days, They can manage the people under them in an orderly manner. They can also give some very innovative and practical suggestions. They are really helpful to us. When Li Zishuan heard this, his mood immediately became happy. In the past, he didn't understand how teachers felt when they saw their students become successful. Now, he completely understood. That kind of happiness was not the same kind of happiness as earning $1 million. It was a kind of comfort that came from the inside out. At this time, Yin Xiaoning said again, "Xiaoxian, my dad said that he wants to pick a few of your students and put them in the Ministry of Works. What do you think?" Li Zishuan immediately glared and said, "Not good. How much have they learned? What can they do in the Ministry of Works? Serve tea and water to those in charge? Definitely not. Besides, working in the Ministry of Works is tiring and the salary is low. Is this work for humans?" The last sentence was a bit too much. Yin Xiaoning said exasperatedly, "How can you say that? To think that my father and second uncle even came here to help a few times. You are a classic example of an ingrate. I'll tell my father when I get back." Li Zishuan knew something was wrong and quickly said, Hey. Xiaoning, don't. I'm praising the Ministry of Works for being noble and virtuous ministers of the country." Who are you kidding?" Yin Xiaoning snorted in disbelief. The two of them laughed and joked for a while before a craftsman came over and called Yin Xiaoning away. Li Zishuan then brought Iron Egg and Li Tai to Sun Zifan. At this time, the sun was about to rise to the top of their heads. It was very obvious that Sun Zifan's face was covered in sweat. However, this guy seemed to be used to it. He didn't care about it and continued to direct people to work. He had the posture of a leader. "Zifan." Li Zishuan walked behind Sun Zifan and called out softly. Sun Zifan paused, turned around, and said in surprise, "Hey, mister, you're here." After saying that, this little joker put down his work and ran over. It looked like he wanted to give Li Zishuan a hug. Li Zishuan didn't want to hug this sweaty little fatty. Yes, this joker was a little chubby, but definitely not as chubby as Li Tai. When the two of them stood together, one was big and the other was small. They were quite compatible. Stop. What are you so excited about?" Sun Zifan said matter-of-factly. "I haven't seen Mister for so long. Of course I'm excited. I've been here for 7 or 8 days, but I've never seen Mr. Shadow. I thought he went missing." Li Zishuan originally wanted to ask this joker if he was used to living here, but now it seemed that there was no need to ask. A happy person could find happiness anywhere. He waved his hand and said, "I went back to Chang'an to deal with some things, so I didn't come over. You've all worked hard. Okay, Zifan, go to your own things. I'll go check on the other students. This afternoon, I'll treat you all to lunch at the Han village at the foot of the mountain." After saying that, he prepared to leave. Sun Zifan said anxiously, "Hey, Mr. Wait, I have something to tell you." Li Zishuan stamped his feet and said, "What?" He. Sun Zifan scratched his head awkwardly and said hesitantly, "I heard that Mister has made a flying tool. When I go back to Chang, and someday, can Mister let me try it?" Li Tai finally remembered this and shouted, Yes. It's that fairy lamp. Xiaoxian, you have to let me sit on it. I've never flown before." Iron Egg also looked eager to give it a try, but he didn't say anything. Because he was Li Zishuan's disciple and brother-in-law, he didn't have to worry about not being able to sit on the fairy lamp. Li Zishuan couldn't help but look at the two little fatties in front of him, and then said with a half-smile, "Zifan, Chinke, with your size, aren't you afraid that you'll crush the fairy lamp and fall from the sky?" The two of them suddenly felt like they were hit by 10,000 points of critical hit. Sun Zifan said, "Hurt? Mister, aren't you making your students too disappointed?" Li Tai wasn't so easily fooled. He thought about it and said angrily, F***CK. Xiaoxian, don't scare us. Your fairy lamp can definitely withstand Zifan and me. Others don't know, but I know that the 7-headed giant snake in your house was brought back by you using the fairy lamp. Sun Zifan's eyes lit up when he heard that, and he looked at Li Zishuan eagerly. Li Zishuan was helpless and could only say with a headache, "Well, the fairy lamp currently has a design flaw. After ascending to the sky, You can't control the direction, and once you go up, it's hard to come back down. Are you too sure you want to give it a try? The two of them were immediately confused. Li Tai wondered, then how did you control the direction last time? Li Zishuan smiled and said, Qingke, don't compare yourself to me. I know martial arts, and I won't be troubled by this. Okay, I'm not going to talk nonsense with you guys. I'm going to see Xiren and Kushirqing. After that, he ignored the two little fatties who were flustered in the wind and left with Iron Egg. Hey, this fairy lamp is used to bring girls. How can it be used to carry little fatties? A while ago, I was too busy and didn't have time to bring girls. Now that I have time, maybe I can consider it. Li Zishuan thought to himself as he walked. In fact, the main reason was that the fairy lamp was unstable now. If it was used to carry people and he wasn't there to look after them, it would be easy for something to happen. However, he wasn't particularly willing to bring two big guys to see the scenery in the sky, so he could only let them suffer for now. Chapter 560. Noon. Han Family Village, Han Tianhu's house. Li Zishuan, Yin Shaoning, Li Tai, Iron Egg, Loner, Sun Zifan, Wang Meng, Ku Shirqing, and the other student from the School of Mathematics were all gathered in the main hall. The scene was very lively. There were close to 30 people, so one table was definitely not enough. There were 3 tables in total. The Han family's front hall, which was not very spacious to begin with, suddenly became very crowded. Since they were outside, they couldn't possibly treat their students to a meal in the cafeteria of Yinshan, right? At first, Li Zishuan planned to freeload at his father-in-law's house for lunch. Later, after seeing Sun Zifan, he thought about it. One person freeloading was freeloading, and more than 20 people freeloading was also freeloading, so he simply brought them all over. However, this made things difficult for Han Lijing. After Iron Egg knew about Li Zishuan's plan, he came back 2 hours earlier to help Han Lijing prepare the meal. Now that the living standards of the entire Han family village had improved, Han Lijing's family had a special relationship with the Li Zishuan. Naturally, they would not be short on ingredients. They had chicken, duck, and fish, but they lacked a chef. Han Lijing didn't want to neglect the students that Li Zishuan brought over, so he specially invited Han Yun's wife to cook. Lu Yue went home after she finished cooking. Then, there were 3 sumptuous tables full of food and wine. Lord Taishan, come and take a seat. It's been hard on you today. Li Zishuan said apologetically. Actually, what he was thinking was to ask Han Yushi's opinion on whether he should find a second wife for Han Tianhu. It would be best if he could buy a few more maids and servants. Otherwise, it would be too hard for Han Tianhu to manage this huge house by himself. Now, what's so hard about this? Xiao Xian, as long as you guys are happy eating. Han Tianhu wiped his sweat and said nonchalantly. He was really happy that Li Zishuan was able to bring his students over as guests. Now that Li Zishuan was his son-in-law, he was a junior. Seeing that his junior had made a name for himself and was loved by his students, he only felt gratified. Come, let's eat together. Yeah, Uncle Han, come and eat together. Li Zishuan and Yin Shaoning quickly invited him. Han Tianhu nodded and sat beside Li Zishuan. Then, he raised his cup and said to Yin, Li Tai, and the others, this poor village can't be compared to the big restaurants in Chang'an City, so please don't despise this simple meal. Since all of you are little Xian's friends and students, as an elder, let me toast to all of you. Yin Shaoning quickly said, Uncle Han, what are you saying? The dishes on this table are comparable to those of the restaurants in Chang. We should be the ones toasting you, Uncle Han. Yes, to Uncle Han. However, this Han family village isn't a poor village. It's much richer than many other villages. Uncle Han, you've managed it well. Sun Zifan was someone who knew how to talk to people and ghosts. At this moment, he could be serious in front of his elders. He raised his cup and laughed. Immediately, a bunch of voices of agreement rang out from behind. Yes. Today's dishes are very sumptuous. Thank you for your hospitality, Uncle Han. Here's to Uncle Han. That's right. Otherwise, we would have to eat together on Yinshan Mountain. Huh. Han Lijing's face was flushed with excitement when he heard these words. He finished the wine in his cup and smiled. Great. Then you guys eat and drink well. Li Zishuan took over the conversation with a smile and looked at the crowd. He looked at the crowd and said, more than half of the people from our School of Mathematics are here today, right? After more than a month, we're gathered together again. Ku Shiqing, Zheng Ziren, Lu Yin, and the rest of you didn't plan to go to Yanwang College with me. However, since you're sitting here now, it proves that you're willing to continue learning with me and that you're optimistic about the future of Yanwang College. I won't say thank you to you for this. I'll only congratulate you. I congratulate you for making the best choice in your life. In a month, Yanwang College will be officially established. At that time, you'll see an unprecedented college. At that time, Yanwang College won't be a place where others can enter just because they want to. Come, to all of you. Everyone, let's have a toast. Okay, well said, sir. Although the college hasn't been built yet, I, Sun Zifen, have already fallen in love with Yin Shan. To sir. Li Tai and Sun Zifen cheered loudly. However, Ku Shiqing, Zheng Ziren, Lu Yin, and the others' eyes were slightly red. They saluted Li Zishuan from afar. It could be seen that they didn't have a good month. Li Zishuan put down his wine glass and laughed. Ha! Good. Stop saluting each other. Let's eat. I know you didn't eat well on Yin Shan. Let's have a good lunch. Of course, your efforts won't be in vain. In the future, the thousands of Yanwang College students will remember your contributions to Yanwang College. Ku Shiqing solemnly cupped his hands and said, due to some reasons, I didn't immediately express my willingness to join Yanwang College. I'm very ashamed. Please don't blame me. Zheng Ziren, Lu Yin, and the others also hurriedly cupped their hands and apologized. Li Zishuan smiled and waved his hand. Ha! Don't blame me, don't blame me. Sun Zifen, however, said mischievously, just because you don't blame me doesn't mean we don't blame you. Ku Shiqing, you should punish yourselves by drinking 3 glasses. Ku Shiqing gritted his teeth and said, all right, 3 glasses it is. After saying that, he was about to pour himself a glass of wine. Li Tai hurriedly shouted, hey, wait. If you're all drunk, who's going to help you in the afternoon? Don't drink so much. Li Zishuan couldn't help but burst out laughing. This little fatty had become the supervisor of the construction site. Zheng Ziren's face was full of black lines. He hesitated for a moment and said, I'll choose to get drunk. Ha. Shiqing, Ziren, Lu Yin, have you all thought about it? Do you want to come to Yanwang College? After lunch, Li Zishuan took a rest under the big tree in the Han residence's courtyard for a while and led the group of students on the road to Yinshan. Ku Shiqing nodded firmly and said, Sir, we've all thought about it. In fact, none of the 44 students in our school doesn't want to continue learning from you. When you left the Imperial College, the reason why so many people didn't express their opinions on the spot was mainly because they were concerned about the opinions of their family members. As far as I know, many of our classmates have been thinking of ways to persuade their families in the past month. I believe that when the college starts next month, the 44 students in our school will definitely gather together again. Li Zishuan was silent. He put his hands behind his back and sighed deeply. I hope so. I can't bear to part with all of you. Chapter 561. In the afternoon, after returning to Cloud Mountain, the group of people returned to their respective posts and busied themselves with their own tasks. Li Zishuan did not stay idle either. With his hands clasped behind his back, he strode forward and began patrolling around his territory. He was not patrolling to see if anyone was slacking off. The reward and punishment system that he had set in the beginning had stimulated everyone's enthusiasm to work. Now, no one in the entire construction site would slack off. No one would complain that they had too much work to do. On the contrary, they were afraid that their team would not be assigned any work. This was because not only would the food be worse, but the bonus at the end of the month would also be reduced. This guy was completely full and had nothing to do, so he wandered around aimlessly. Haha, This entire mountain will belong to me, Lisa Schwan, in the future. And there's a super big school on top of it. TSK, TSK. How comfortable. In his previous life, Lisa Schwan was just a poor student. Even if he joined the workforce, his monthly salary would not be able to buy a 1 square meter house in Beijing. But now, he owned an entire school near Chang'an, a modern school that he wholly invested in. How could he not be satisfied? Oh, the student bathhouse has already been built? All around him were half-built houses. Only the larger building next to the student dormitory had been completed. Lisa Schwan thought for a while and recognized that it was the student bathhouse. He sighed and walked in. Cement walls, cement floor, and empty space. This should be used to store wardrobes in the future. Inside, there were small cubicles. In the future, when water pipes and sprinklers were installed, it would be a student bathhouse that all modern schools had. These things would not be considered rare in modern times. But to the ancient people, those students would probably not be used to it when they first came in to take a bath. Right, water. What should he do with the water on Yanshan? He could not expect people to carry water down the mountain every day, right? How troublesome would that be? Thinking of this, Lisa Schwan could not help but frown deeply. The monthly water consumption of a school was terrifying. No one knew this better than him. The water problem of Yanhuang College had to be solved as soon as possible. Lord Jupe, so you're here. I've finally found you. At this moment, Pang Feiji suddenly ran in from outside and said while panting. Lisa Schwan collected his thoughts and asked, Feiji, you're back? Is that thing already done by the workshop? The beggar's version of the crane he designed was not complicated. It only had a base, supporting rods, pulley blocks, and some structures to adjust the angle and direction. It was not difficult to make. Pang Feiji said excitedly. Yes, Lord Ju, I've already brought it here on an ox cart. It's right in front of Guanghua Building now. Lisa Schwan nodded and said, Okay, let's go and have a look. Guanghua Building was the main teaching building of Yanhuang College. When it was designed, it was arranged to be at the front of all the buildings in the college. In Lisa Schwan's opinion, this building would be the face of Yanhuang College in the future. Of course, it had to be seen by everyone. When they passed by Yanhuang College's future library, the red building, Lisa Schwan looked at the prototype of the classical building. Suddenly, he said to Pang Feiji, Feiji, you have to remember this building well. It has another name. It's called the Airplane Building. In Feng Yu's previous life, the red building looked like a huge airplane when viewed from above. Therefore, some people called it the Airplane Building. When Pang Feiji heard this, he suspected that he had heard wrongly. He dug his ears and said in disbelief, Lord Ju, are you using this building to commemorate me? Old Pang? Lord Ju's kindness, old Pang, I. As he spoke, he choked up. In his opinion, he was just a rough person. Yanhuang College was destined to be a holy land for scholars. Lisa Schwan was willing to use his name to name a building in the college. To him, it was such an honor. How could he not be excited? Cough, cough. Lisa Schwan saw that this guy was forcing himself to be dramatic. He couldn't help but cough and said, That's not it. The reason why I called it the Airplane Building was because it looked like an airplane. After that, he ran away as if there was oil on the soles of his feet. Brother Chicken, on the other hand, was stunned on the spot. He looked at the unfinished red house and muttered, Like me? How does this building look like me? Hey, sir, you're finally here. As soon as Lisa Schwan arrived in front of Guanghua Building, he saw a group of people surrounding a tall frame with 4 wheels. They were basically the students of the School of Mathematics. When Sun Ziffin saw Lisa Schwan, he came over to greet him. Lisa Schwan didn't ask how these students knew about it. He walked to the side of the crane and looked at it. Then he smiled at Li Tai and said, Chinke, it's rare for you to have the opportunity to be a strong man. Do you want to try this crane yourself? Although Li Tai was not happy with the first half of the sentence, he still rubbed his hands excitedly and nodded. Okay. After that, he ordered the people to hang a big basket of bricks on the hooks below the pulley block. He then began to turn the wheel and to try to pull the basket up. Damn, it's actually so easy. Li Tai originally used all of his strength and prepared to use all of his strength to turn the spinning wheel. In the end, because he used too much strength, he almost tripped and fell. And the bamboo basket filled with bricks, without any accident, rose up. Wow. Chinke, when did you become so strong? Yep. This basket of stones is about 200 pounds. Tisk tsk. Not only is Chinke meaty, but she's also very strong. With such a sarcastic tone, he must be Sun Ziffin, young hero's son. The surrounding students couldn't help but widen their eyes and gasp in amazement. If they hadn't seen the people put the bricks in the basket one by one with their own eyes, they would have suspected that Li Tai was cheating. Just like that, in a short while the big basket of bricks was lifted up about 3 feet. The people waiting on top of the basket suppressed their surprise and carefully unloaded the bricks from the basket. Li Tai touched his nose and was speechless. He felt that the brick-moving machine he made earlier was really weak. Li Zishuan nodded with satisfaction and smiled at the students. Did you all see that? This is the power of engineering. It can make a powerless person full of strength. It can let you understand the world you're in now. Of course, it can also change the world. The knowledge that Yinhuang College will impart to you in the future will definitely be the most powerful knowledge in the world. Good. Sir, you're amazing. We want to learn the most powerful knowledge. Sir, you're mighty. Who hasn't been young and frivolous? When the students heard this, they were all elated and excited, except for Li Tai. He was very dissatisfied with Li Zishuan's words. It can make a powerless person full of strength. He felt that Li Zishuan was talking about him. So he moved to Li Zishuan's side and whispered, Xiao Xian, I don't think your crane is good. What's not good? Li Zishuan asked subconsciously. Li Tai replied, It's too troublesome. You single-handedly lifted up such a big basket of bricks in the morning. I think you're better than a crane. Why don't you use Qigong to help us move the bricks in the future? Get lost. Li Zishuan was stunned and almost slapped his size 40 shoe on this little fatty's size 38 face as he shouted angrily. Chapter 562. Shouting, I'll leave this crane to you. With this thing, I believe the construction of the academy will be much faster. Please be sure to finish building the bishop, the canteen, and the dormitory within a month. It was the first time they saw such a novel thing. So naturally, the students of the school couldn't help but try it themselves. After an hour, their enthusiasm faded, and they returned to their posts. Then, Li Zishuan found Yin Xiaoning and said with a smile. Yin Xiaoning had also tried the crane himself. He nodded and said, Yes, that's right. This crane is really helpful to us. No, Xiao Xian, are you going back to slack off again? Li Zishuan couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Why is this guy so sensitive now? He hurriedly said, No, I'll come here often when I'm free. You have to take care of the things here. If you have any problems, you can send someone to find me directly. Yin Xiaoning had an as expected expression and said gloomily, I knew you were going to slack off. You're not even as good as your students. Li Zishuan shook his head and said, You can't say that. I'm not going home to slack off. You guys are responsible for the construction of the academy. I still have a lot of things to deal with. For example, the water supply of the academy, the hiring of teachers, the recruitment of students, the writing of teaching materials, and so on. I need to deal with all these as soon as possible. Compared to those students, I'm the one who's really working hard, okay? Hearing this, Yin Xiaoning stopped complaining. He thought for a while and said, Well, you're right. Go to your own things then. I'll take care of things here. Li Zishuan smiled and said, Okay, then I'll leave it to you. After that, he was ready to go home. What he said just now wasn't a perfunctory or an excuse. He was really short on time. He should have started doing these things a long time ago, but he was delayed by the matter of the 7 cultivators of virtue for a long time, so he really didn't have much time left. Yin Xiaoning suddenly thought of something and hurriedly said, By the way, Xiao Xian, there's one more thing I need to tell you. What's the matter? Recently, the autumn harvest is approaching. Many people want to ask for leave to go back to help with the harvest. However, the construction period here is getting more and more urgent. Moreover, if we recruit new people, the new people will definitely not be as skilled as them. Therefore, I did not allow them to go home for the time being. But this is definitely not a long-term solution. Do you have any good ideas? Li Zishuan frowned slightly. He had neglected this point. In ancient times, the spring planting and autumn harvest were important matters for the common people. Basically, the whole family counted on the grain in the fields to survive the year. He absolutely could not delay the autumn harvest of more than 10,000 families because of his own selfish interests. He pondered for a moment and said, "Let's go. More money. All the workers and craftsmen who are willing to stay will have their wages doubled this month. They can use this money to hire people to help with the autumn harvest. Besides, each of their families should have half-grown children, so it shouldn't be a big problem. Of course, if they don't want to stay, we won't force them. We'll allow them to take leave and go home after handing over their work. However, they won't get the double pay. We'll let them decide for themselves." Yin Xiaoning raised his eyebrows and exclaimed, "Double pay? Xiao Xian, are you crazy? Putting aside the sumptuous meals, the wages that we, Yin Shan, offer are already considered the most generous. Yet, you want to double the wages? Do you know that just based on this, you'll have to spend an extra 30,000 to 40,000 strings of cash this month?" Li Zishuan shook his head and said, "Xiaoning, you can't calculate it like this. Yinshan is a special case. Although the meals and wages are very good, don't you see that these people are also working very hard? Yanwang College is such a big project. Which construction team can complete it in 2 months? They can. Their efforts are completely worthy of this treatment. As for the double pay, isn't there no other way? No matter what, I can't affect the student start of school because of the construction progress of the college. This is the most important. In this era, the students' field break was usually in the middle of September. Counting the days, it was only a little more than a month from now. Li Zishuan's anxiousness made sense. Of course, he also had the capital to say this. Strange Interest Pavilion and Drunken Immortal House were now a group of hens that could lay golden eggs. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they were raking in gold every day. Moreover, Tang Daily had long been on the right track and was no longer making a loss. Now, just the income from advertising alone was already very considerable. Yin Xiaoning said helplessly, "All right, it's your money anyway. The rich ones are the masters. You could do whatever you want." After coming down from Yinshan, Li Zishuan didn't go straight home. Instead, he went to the workshop. Yanwang College's enrollment promotion needed the power of Tang Daily. At this time, he couldn't help but feel lucky that he started Tang Daily first. With this tool of public opinion, it would be much more convenient for him to do other things. "Brother Ma, for the next few issues of Tang Daily, help me write a few promotional drafts for Yanwang College. I will personally write the first draft, arrange for people to study it seriously, and let them understand my engineering skills. You guys will write the drafts for the next few issues. I want to recruit students." In the editorial department, Li Zishuan found Ma Zhou and began to instruct him. Strictly speaking, Ma Zhou wasn't a pure Confucian disciple. He studied the art of governance and had a good understanding of the knowledge that was useful for governing a country. His character was flexible and flexible. Therefore, Li Zishuan felt assured to hand over such an important department like Tang Daily to Ma Zhou. Ma Zhou understood what Li Zishuan meant when he heard this. He nodded and said, "Lord Zhu, don't worry. We will do our best to cooperate." After experiencing so many things with Li Zishuan, Ma Zhou had a very deep understanding of engineering. He didn't have any bad feelings towards engineering because the current success of Tang Daily couldn't be separated from Li Zishuan's support of engineering. Moreover, he felt that engineering could make the people of Tang better. It could also make more people able to afford to study. The prosperity of the people's education could be brought about by engineering. Therefore, Ma Zhou still hoped that Li Zishuan's engineering could be carried forward. "Okay, I will ask someone to send the draft up later. You have to save a good position for me in tomorrow's newspaper." Li Zishuan nodded and said his goodbyes before leaving. His time was really tight right now. Chapter 563. The next morning, it was cloudy and breezy. A few pairs of young scholars walked on the streets of Chang and city in groups of 2s and 3s. They looked like they were about to leave the city for sightseeing. It didn't mean that they were definitely students of the Imperial College. There were many other official schools in Chang'an City other than the Imperial College, such as Chongwen Hall, Hongwen Hall, Directorate of Astronomy for Astronomy, Imperial Medical Department for Medicine, Taipu Temple for Veterinary Medicine, and so on. This was the capital of Chang'an City. If it were a local place, there would be local official schools as well. For example, each prefecture had its own prefectural school, each county had its own county school, and each county had its own school. The official education system of the Sui and Tang dynasties was very complete. Of course, the ability of the rulers to tolerate culture was also incomparable to that of the Ming and Qing dynasties, especially during the Jingguan period. This was also one of the reasons why Li Zishuan dared to propose engineering studies. Mingda, look, Yanhuang College is recruiting students? Yanhuang College? What kind of college is that? Why haven't I heard of it before? Two scholars were holding the newspapers they had just bought and were discussing as they walked. Mingda, have you not left Chang'an City recently? There has been such a big commotion on Yunshan Mountain in the eastern suburbs recently. And you don't know about it? The tall scholar asked doubtfully. The shorter scholar said awkwardly, the weather has been too hot recently, and I haven't gone out. Brother Zheng, tell me about the commotion on Yunshan Mountain. What does this have to do with Yanhuang College? You haven't heard of Yanhuang College, but you must have heard of Li Xianan from Yongla Lane. This Yanhuang College is run by him, and the college is located in Yunshan Mountain. In the past month, hundreds of skilled craftsmen and tens of thousands of workers have gathered in Yunshan Mountain to build Yanhuang College. I heard that Li Xianan spent 200,000 to 300,000 strings of cash on the college alone. The tall scholar was obviously an insider, and he was also a chatterbox. Once he started explaining, he went on endlessly. Of course I've heard of Li Xianan, but what future can he have in this college? Will anyone be willing to go? Mingda, what you said is wrong. Yanhuang College is not an ordinary college. The dean of this college is the current emperor. Li Xianan used to be a minister of the Imperial College. He is very likely to become the chancellor of the Imperial College. His knowledge and ability are beyond words. You don't know how many scholars in the world want to be his disciple. The slightly shorter scholar was obviously taken aback. He said in disbelief, what? His Majesty is the dean of Yanhuang College. How is that possible? The tall scholar sneered and said, why is it impossible? Many people already knew about this, and it wasn't a secret. But putting all these aside, Li Xianan's so-called engineering is quite desirable. Brother Zheng, could it be that you also want to go to Yanhuang College? Let's not talk about this for now. Let's hurry to the city gate. Otherwise, Brother Shangguan and the others will be waiting anxiously. After the tall scholar finished speaking, he waved his folding fan and took the lead to walk forward. The slightly shorter scholar frowned and then said to the boy next to him, go and buy me a newspaper. Then follow me. Yes, young master. Brother Hua. Good news. South of Chang'an City, Jinyu Academy. Chun Tianhua ran in excitedly with a paper bag of meat buns in one hand and a newspaper in the other. For government-run schools like the Directorate of Imperial College and the Hongwen School, the students had 2 months of field leave. However, these small academies did not exist. This was because these places were mainly places for like-minded people to discuss the Tao. Hua Hongyi, who was sitting in the courtyard reading, looked at Chun Tianhua's excited expression and couldn't help but wonder. Tianhua, what news made you so excited? Did someone give you a tip again? Liao Feichen laughed and said, in that case, Tianhua, you have to treat me again? Ever since Chun Tianhua's novel was serialized in Datong Daily, although the results were far from a legend of a mortal's journey to immortality, he would always receive tips from some rich people every now and then. In addition to the fixed monthly royalties from the editorial department of Datong Daily, Chen Tianhua had gradually moved from the low-income class to the middle-income class. As for Liao Feichen, the results of his novel were slightly worse, but the monthly income was enough for his family's expenses. In this regard, Hua Hongyi was only sincerely happy for his good friend and did not have any feelings of jealousy. He did not seem to be in a hurry and continued to think of a novel that completely belonged to him. Chen Tianhua walked quickly to Hua Hongyi and placed the meat buns on the stone table. Then, he opened the newspaper and pointed to a short paragraph in the middle and said, No, it's more exciting news than tips. Hong, Feichen, come and see. Yanhuang College is going to recruit students from all over the Tang Empire. Hua Hongyi heard this and immediately jumped up and leaned over and shouted, Where? Let me see. Liao Feichen also leaned over and looked anxious. Chen Tianhua pointed and said, Here. Aren't you going to eat breakfast first? Hua Hongyi and Liao Feichen both waved their hands and began to read seriously. At the end of June in the first year of Jingguan, Yanhuang College was approved by His Majesty to cultivate a group of talented, thoughtful, and creative young people for the Tang Empire. His Majesty is the honorary president of Yanhuang College, and Crown Princely Zishuan is the Yamacho of Yanhuang College. After a month of construction by tens of thousands of craftsmen, Yanhuang College has begun to take shape and will be completed next month. Now, it is openly recruiting students from all over the Tang Empire. All students from Tang Empire above the age of 8 and below the age of 25, regardless of whether they are rich or poor, who are interested in joining Yanhuang College, can register for free at the local Datong Daily Branch. All students who have registered will take the preliminary examination on September 18th at Yanhuang College in the eastern suburbs of Chang. Those who pass the preliminary examination will become a student of Yanhuang College and will receive a minimum of 3 to 6 years of education. During this period, all tuition fees will be waived. The contents of the preliminary examination include, It's true, Yanhuang College is really starting to recruit students. That's great. Ha ha. Hua Hongyi couldn't help but laugh at this point. Liao Feichen also said excitedly, That's right. With His Majesty as the president of Yanhuang College, its status is not inferior to that of the Imperial College. I didn't expect that poor children like us would have the opportunity to enter such an institution. Chen Tianhua smiled and said, You too should finish reading. The contents of the entrance examination are explained at the end. Hua Hongyi and Liao Feichen lowered their heads and continued to read seriously. Chapter 564. Yanhuang College's entrance exam consists of the 5 classics, 30%, mathematics, 50%, and morality, 20%. The mathematics exam consists of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and geometry. Most of the content is related to the new mathematics of the Imperial College. Students are recommended to buy the latest textbooks from the Imperial College and study them carefully. The exam difficulty is below average. Students are encouraged to prepare for the exam. In Jinyu Academy, Hua Hongyi and Liao Feichen read the news carefully. Liao Feichen suddenly looked up and muttered, Textbooks? Where are the new mathematics textbooks? We have to hurry and buy them. Chen Tianhua slapped his head and said, That's right. Why didn't I think of that earlier? We should have bought the textbooks while we were at it. There must be a lot of people buying them now. Where can we buy them? The 3 of them looked at each other and reacted almost at the same time. They said in unison, Interesting pavilion. Hua Hongyi slammed the newspaper on the stone table and shouted, Hurry and buy the textbooks. Then he ran out. Liao Feichen reacted and quickly followed him. Hey, aren't you guys going to eat the buns? In fact, there was more than one article about Yanhuang College in the newspaper today. There were a total of 3 articles, but these people were focused on the enrollment and ignored the other 2. What is engineering? This old man wants to see how you're going to brag. Wei Mansion. Wei Zheng had his breakfast and habitually asked the servants to buy him a Datong daily. Then he sat under the old tree in the courtyard and began to read it. Today was the official's day off, so there was no need to attend morning court. Wei Zheng rarely had a day of leisure. He couldn't help but mutter to himself when he saw a piece of news in the newspaper. Engineering is the study of engineering. Its main purpose is to serve the needs of the people and improve their lives. Its ultimate goal is to achieve prosperity for all. The houses of the common people, the pavilions of the palace, the riverbanks, the water conservancy, the city walls, the imperial mausoleum, and the agricultural production could all be supported by the school. Engineering can allow people to realize what kind of world we are in now. Engineering can allow people to make more advanced farming tools, allowing our Tang Empire to have more farmland and not have to worry about food. Engineering can allow people to make faster and steadier vehicles. One day, we will be able to travel between Chang and in Luoyang in a day, and we won't need to travel back and forth for several months. Engineering can allow people to create more powerful weapons, allowing our Tang Empire to stand at the top of the world, allowing the barbarians to submit to us and congratulate us. Engineering can even create flying tools, allowing mortals to soar above the 9 heavens and overlook the magnificent mountains and rivers of our Tang Empire. There is no high or low in learning. Engineering is only for the benefit of the people of the world. Students of engineering can also have a bright future. If you don't have great ambitions, you can use engineering to become an accountant in a shop or take part in the mathematics examination. You can become a deputy county magistrate or manager of the Ministry of Civil Affairs or Ministry of Works. You can feed and clothe your entire family. If you have great ambitions and are willing to devote yourself to the study of engineering, you can become a master of the generation. You can do things that others don't dare to do. You can create divine weapons that others can't create. You can enjoy great wealth, be worshipped by thousands, and leave your name in history for all eternity. Engineering, as a new study, is actually not new. It combines the academic essence of the pre-Qin dynasty with the purpose of benefiting the people and the world. Young students who want to learn engineering, please immediately register for the entrance examination of Yanwang College. Gentlemen, on the 18th of September, we will meet at Yanwang College. Be there or be square. After reading this news, the joking expression on Wei Zheng's face had long disappeared. He stared at the newspaper in a daze and muttered to himself, "Engineering is only for the benefit of the people of the world." Previously, that kid from the Li family said that Confucianism cultivates the mind, while engineering benefits the world. So that's it. But if that's the case, won't the sky of my Tang Dynasty be pierced by this kid? Benefits the world, benefits the world. Back then, the school of Mo was righteous. Mincy has said that it was for the benefit of the world. How similar is it to Li Zexuan's engineering? I'm afraid that many people will take this opportunity to make a big fuss. This kid is still too inexperienced. Wei Zheng had long passed the hot-blooded age where he would roll up his sleeves and do things on impulse. He wasn't bewitched by Li Zexuan's rather provocative words. Instead, he found a trace of worry in them. However, the reason why he had hidden worry was that he was slightly biased towards Li Zexuan. Otherwise, what was there to be worried about? Wasn't the reason why he had stubbornly opposed Li Er his whole life? Wasn't it to let the people of the world have enough to eat and wear? Although the methods were different, Li Zexuan's and his ultimate goal was the same. That was enough. Let's look at this news. Wei Zheng sighed for a while and then looked at another piece of news. It read, Yanwang College Employment Announcement. As the first engineering school in the Tang Dynasty, Yanwang College needs to spread the most advanced engineering knowledge. They're specially hiring teachers from the 358 provinces and 1,500 counties of the Tang Dynasty. Among them, there are 10 teachers in the field of classics. They must be familiar with classics and history, have a good teaching style, and have a good reputation locally. There are 28 teachers in the field of engineering who are proficient in any of the following skills. They are eligible to apply, such as engineering, construction, mechanism, machinery, mathematics, astronomy, surveying, smelting, manufacturing, and so on. Yanwang College's teachers can be divided into 4 ranks: assistant, lecturer, associate professor, and professor. Every year, all teachers will be tested on their teaching ability, and they will be promoted according to their ability. Assistant teachers will be paid 10 strings of coins per month. Lecturer, 20 strings of coins per month. Associate professor, 50 strings of coins per month. And professor, 100 strings of coins per month. They will also be gifted a new mansion in Yanwang College. We welcome all virtuous people from all over the Tang Dynasty to apply for this position. Those who are interested, please come to Yanwang College before the 15th of September for an interview. I, Lisa Xuan, will be waiting for you. Why don't you come to Yanwang College to teach a few students and watch them maneuver unhindered and leave a legacy for generations? After reading it, Wei Jing couldn't help but widen his eyes and exclaim, 100 strings of coins? Crazy. Did this kid lose his mind? Even a doctor in the top imperial college of the Great Tang would only earn less than 20 strings of coins a month. Li Zixuan's salary of 100 strings of coins a month and a luxurious mansion. How could these civil servants of the Great Tang live? To be honest, even Wei Jing was a little tempted. However, after thinking about it, he shook his head. Although Yanwang College's salary was good, it wasn't his cup of tea. To put it bluntly, other than criticizing people, what else could he do? He didn't know anything about engineering, but he knew about classics. However, he couldn't give up his best skill, criticizing people, to teach classics, right? Chapter 565. Lu Yun, get the steward to send this issue of the newspaper to every county in Tang Dynasty as fast as possible. It has to be twice as fast as the previous one. Use fast horses. Azure Dragon Lane, the temporary residence of the Wang family in the capital. Wang Renbiao had obviously just finished reading today's newspaper. He called his follower Lu Yun over and instructed seriously. Lu Yun didn't understand and said in shock, double the speed? Young master, wouldn't we have to pay a higher price this way? We'll lose money. In the past, when the Datong Daily came out, the people in and around Chong and city could see the news immediately due to their superior geographical location. However, the people in the counties far away from Chong and had a hard time. Depending on the distance, the time they received the latest issue of the newspaper would be delayed by 3 days to a month. This was because the Wang family's caravan was in charge of transporting the Datong Daily to other places. Now that Wang Renbiao had made this request, they definitely couldn't use the caravan's route. They had to use fast horses to travel 800 miles. The cost of that wasn't just high. Bastard, just do whatever young master asks you to do. Lu Yun, have you forgotten the lesson from last time? Wang Renbiao was about to answer when Lung Yuyao's bone-chilling voice came from behind Lu Yun. Lu Yun was so scared that he shivered. He quickly slapped his mouth and begged for mercy. Young master, please forgive me, Miss Yuyao. This lowly one has spoken too much. This lowly one deserves to die. Wang Renbiao waved his hand helplessly and said, all right. Get someone to buy a batch of mathematics teaching materials from Shopkeeper Sun and get the steward to send them to every place in Tang Dynasty. Lu Yun cupped his hands and said, yes, young master. After that, he didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly left. Lung Yuyao looked at Lu Yun's back and snorted, ignorant. Then, she walked to Wang Renbiao's side and asked worriedly, young master, why do you have to speed up the delivery of this issue of the newspaper to every county? This girl had just said that Lu Yun was immature and liked to ask questions that shouldn't be asked, and now she was asking questions herself. Seriously, the corner of Wang Renbiao's mouth twitched. He looked at Lung Yuyao with a strange expression for a while before saying, Little Xian's Yanhuang College is going to start recruiting students and teachers. The relevant announcement will be published in this issue of Datong Daily. Yanhuang College will officially start school next month. Time is tight, so I have to help him. Lung Yuyao suddenly understood. She thought for a while and said, I've seen the Yanhuang College in Yinshan from afar. The architectural style there is completely different, and they actually used a building material that I've never seen before. The surface is extremely hard and smooth like stone. It's really strange. Moreover, the scale of that academy was comparable to that of the Imperial College. Thanks to Li Zixuan, the Li family has accumulated so much wealth in just half a year. How admirable. Wang Rinbiao laughed and said, haha, little Xian's ability was unquestionable. Otherwise, my father and I wouldn't have thought so highly of him. But Yu Yao, you only saw the surface and didn't see the deeper layer of things. Leng Yuyao asked curiously, what is it? Wang Rinbiao pointed at the article, What is Engineering, on the newspaper, and said with a deep look in his eyes, Little Xian's ambition is all in here. Engineering. He wants to use his own strength to fight against the 800 years of dominance of Confucianism. Whether he succeeds or not, he will become the founder of a new school of thought. His name will be known throughout the world, and his name will be immortalized for eternity. If he succeeds, the countless disciples under his school of engineering will become an invisible force. By then, his Li family will be an unshakable existence in Tang Dynasty, except for the royal family. Leng Yuyao's mouth was wide open in shock. No matter what, she would never have thought that Li Zixuan not only left his peers 800 miles behind in the path of martial arts, but also established his own school and stood proudly in the path of literature. Such a character already made her unable to have any jealousy, and all that was left was admiration and worship. Wang Rinbiao didn't stop after he finished speaking. Instead, he sighed and continued. Now, except for the royal family, the other 6 aristocratic families are all divided at heart. And because of my father, the other aristocratic families are showing signs of isolating the Wang family. Did they really think that I didn't know about the gathering of the 5 aristocratic families a few days ago? Naive. Our Wang family just doesn't want to be associated with them. The royal family is too powerful now, and the aristocratic families can only struggle at death's door. If they still can't see the reality, then they won't even have the right to struggle at death's door. And now, our Wang family has a good relationship with Li Zixuan, a promising new star of the empire. Even if the royal family declines one day, the other aristocratic families can't compare to our Wang family status. So, this time, we have to do Li Zixuan a favor. Helping him is also helping ourselves. Even if my father is here, he will also make the same decision. Leng Yuyao sighed and said, Gongzi is wise. If you don't have great ambitions, you can use engineering to become an accountant in a shop, or take part in the mathematics examination and become a deputy of a county or a manager of the Ministry of Civil Affairs or the Ministry of Works. That way, your whole family will have enough food and clothing. If you have great ambitions and are willing to devote yourself to engineering, you can become a master of the generation. You can do things that others don't dare to do. You can create treasures that others can't create. You can enjoy great wealth, be worshipped by thousands, and leave your name in history for eternity. Chongren Lane, in a house with 3 courtyards. A young boy with acne was holding a newspaper and reading today's The Tang Daily's news. He was in a daze. After a while, he suddenly jumped up and ran to the backyard, shouting excitedly as he ran, Dad, Mom, I don't want to stay in the Imperial College. I want to follow Mr. Li to Yanhuang College to study engineering. This young boy was a student from the mathematics school. His name was Jiang Qingyu. It could be seen that he was also a poor child who was forced by his parents to stay in the Imperial College, because not long after, angry scoldings sounded from the backyard. Bastard, what's so good about Yanhuang College? What kind of future can you have there? If you dare to be disobedient again, I will break your legs and make sure you can't go anywhere. Who said that going to Yanhuang College is useless? After you study there, not only can you become a deputy of a county or a manager of the Ministry of Works or the Ministry of Civil Affairs, but you can also become a master of the generation like Mr. Li. Bullshit. Men from Li County are capable, but that doesn't mean that Yanhuang College has a future. You better stay in the Imperial College obediently. No. Dad, look for yourself. Look at what engineering is. Look at what Yanhuang College is. Even if you break my legs, I will go to Yanhuang College. Otherwise, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Chapter 566. Hua Hongyi, Jiang Qingyu, and the other's reactions to today's Tang Daily were just a microcosm of Yanhuang colleges or Li Zixuan supporters. Of course, not everyone in Chang and City was a brainless fan of Li Zixuan. There were also many people who did not like Li Zixuan. This Li Zixuan is really arrogant. Confucianism is in power, and he dares to promote engineering? He really doesn't know what's good for him. In Xingye Feng, Cui Shanyu could not help but sneer as he read the news in the newspaper at home. He held the newspaper and paced back and forth in the house, looking like he was thinking of an idea. After a while, he seemed to have decided on something and said to himself, "Since you're looking for death and still boasting so much, then don't blame me for being ruthless." However, in less than 2 breaths of time after he said this, his expression began to become hesitant again. No, the Cui family just sent a message a few days ago to give up all actions against Li Zixuan. If I force myself at this time, won't I offend both sides? Cui Shanyu shook his head and finally sighed. Sigh, forget it. It's just that I missed such a good opportunity. Cui Shanyu was scared at the last minute because of the Cui family, but the other disciples of Confucianism would not be scared. The 3 pieces of news in today's newspaper made many Confucian defenders explode. Arrogant. Arrogant to the extreme. Does Li Zixuan think that he could be a deputy county magistrate, the head of the Ministry of Works, or the Ministry of Civil Affairs with just his engineering skills? Does he think that the mathematics exam is so easy for the disciples of engineering? In a restaurant somewhere, a young man in a Confucian robe slammed the table angrily and shouted. Another diner next to him could not help but say, "Ahem, this brother. Let's not talk about other things for now." Just based on Li Zixuan's attainments in mathematics, what the newspaper said is not exaggerated at all. His disciple will definitely get first place in the next year's mathematics exam. The young man in a scholarly robe who scolded earlier also knew that what the person next to him said was reasonable. He couldn't help blushing and said awkwardly, Then even if he's powerful, he actually said that engineering can create faster and more stable vehicles. When the time comes, he can travel between Chang and Luoyang in a day. He also said that engineering can create flying tools that allow mortals to soar above the 9 heavens. Tell me, how is this possible? Was he, Li Zixuan, bragging? He is deviating from the orthodoxy and spreading miscellaneous knowledge. As soon as he said this, the person next to him couldn't refute anymore. The other scholars, however, started to jeer. That's right. The man from Li County is using Tang Daily to promote his so-called engineering. He's simply deviating from the norm, despicable and shameless. Yes, this newspaper is full of nonsense. Chang, and is 1,000 li away from Luoyang. If he could set off in the morning and arrive at Luoyang in the evening, wouldn't he have to travel 1,000 li in a day? What kind of tool can do that? Also, what can allow mortals to fly above the 9 heavens? This is simply nonsense. Li Zixuan is really unscrupulous in order to promote his engineering. Yes. This is simply an insult to the disciples of the saints. Let's go to Yongle Lane together to criticize him. Let's make him repent. Yes, let's go together. After a while, a group of scholars in the restaurant's main hall were incited together, wanting to gather at the entrance of the Li family's house to cause trouble. A bunch of ungrateful, heartless, and unscrupulous things. How could you forget about Li County's opening of the Strange Culture Flatbook Prize? Didn't you enjoy the favor? Now you're biting the hand that feeds you. Our restaurant doesn't welcome you. Get lost. At this time, a plump middle-aged man walked out and said coldly with a look of disdain, "The shopkeeper is right. You bunch of people have really thrown your books to the dogs. Ungrateful, get lost. Get lost. Get lost." Li Zixuan's reputation among the people was already very good. Among so many people, there were naturally some hardcore fans of Li Zixuan. After hearing the comments of this group of scholars, the restaurant shopkeeper and some of the diners in the main hall immediately began to denounce them. What a disgrace to the educated. You can't differentiate between right and wrong. You can't tell good from bad. The young man in a scholarly robe who had started the conversation said loudly with a red face. Get lost. This restaurant doesn't welcome you. Get lost. Get lost. Yun Han. This bunch of people is too much. They're simply too stupid. They can't tell good from bad. Yes. Yes. This bunch of unruly people can only be fooled by Lisa Schwan. They can't tell right from wrong. After being chased out of the restaurant, the group of scholars surrounded the young man in a scholarly robe and complained. It turned out that this young man was called Chui Yunhan. He was also from the Zhengzhou Chui clan of Qinghe. However, he was from the second branch. His grandfather was Chui Junchuo's younger brother. Chui Junchuo, as the current head of the Chui clan of Qinghe, had placed the hope of the third generation on Chui Xuanji. This made Chui Yunhan very unhappy. A few days ago, Chui Xuanji was sent back to his hometown in Zhengzhou for some unknown reason. This made Chui Yunhan extremely happy and felt that his opportunity had come. Chui Junchuo's unfriendly attitude towards Lisa Xuan was more or less known to Chui Yunhan. Therefore, after seeing the newspaper today, he couldn't help but want to do something to attract Chui Junchuo's attention. And let's not lower ourselves to the level of these unruly people. Let's go and block Lisa Xuan's house. Originally, he wanted to instigate some people to do something with him. However, he didn't expect to get off on the wrong foot and even be chased out of the restaurant. Chui Yunhan, who had always been spoiled since childhood, had never been humiliated like this before. Of course, he was angry. However, after thinking about it, he felt that business was more important. Therefore, he clenched his teeth and said to his companions, But with just a few of us, isn't it too little? A scholar at the side hesitated. In the end, scholars like them, sometimes they would talk fiercely. However, when it came to doing it, they would probably be terrified. After all, Li Zixuan was a man who founded the country. Furthermore, he was also a popular figure in the imperial court. He was the crown prince Zhan Shi of the third rank. It was no wonder that this person would be terrified. Seeing that the others nodded in agreement, Chui Yunhan muttered, Then let's go and gather our classmates. Li Zixuan wantonly spread miscellaneous studies and deceived the people. How can we, the disciples of the saints, sit back and do nothing? We must let the people see his true colors. That's right. I will go and find Dong Kong and the rest. All right. Then I will go and find Chao Lei and the rest. I will go and find Zhu Jin and the rest. Chui Yunhan nodded and said, All right. Then you guys hurry up. After an hour, we will gather here and go to the Li family together. All right. Chapter 567. Mr. Wenji, Li Gang, courtesy name Wenji, long time no see. I trust you have been well since we last met. In Crooked River Square, Li Zixuan knocked on the door and entered a quiet and elegant courtyard. When he saw Li Gang watering the orchids with a water ladle, he greeted him with a smile. This was a relatively simple old house. The decorations were not luxurious at all. There were no artificial mountains, ponds, or pavilions. There was only a small bamboo forest in the courtyard, plus a flower garden. It was quiet and elegant to the extreme. This old man's bones are good. But how come you, a busy person, have the time to look for an old man like me? Li Gang unhurriedly put the water ladle into the wooden bucket next to him, turned around, and said with a smile. Li Zixuan did not directly answer Li Gang's question. Instead, he glanced at the Tang daily that was quietly lying on the stool and asked Li Gang, Mr. also reads the Tang daily? I do. This old man is idle at home. Other than watering the flowers, I can only read the newspaper. This newspaper of yours is really a good choice to pass the time. Li Gang suddenly came to a realization. He pointed at Li Zixuan and said with a deep smile, Haha, this old man knows why you are here today. You want this old man to pay the wine debt. Haha, let's talk inside. Inside the house, Li Gang asked his grandson Li Gang to pour a cup of tea for Li Zixuan. Then, the two of them sat opposite each other. Li Gang smiled and said, This old man's house is not as rich as yours. I don't have good wine, but I still have good tea. Don't dislike it. Li Zishuan cupped his hands and said, I wouldn't dare. Mister, you don't care about fame and fortune. Although you live in a humble house, many of us can't compare to your moral character. How would I dare to dislike it? Even Li Gang, a calm old pedant, couldn't help but laugh at his flattery. He laughed and scolded, glib tongue. I'm afraid I won't be able to bear your flattery. This tea was personally picked by this old man in March at the tea garden in the east of the city. It tastes very good. You should try it too. The corner of Li Zishuan's mouth twitched slightly. Thank you for your kindness, sir. Although the tea is good, I'm not used to this kind of tea brewing technique. I appreciate your kindness. Li Gang frowned and asked curiously, tea brewing techniques? Could it be that other than this old man's tea cooking technique, there are other tea cooking techniques? Li Zishuan coughed dryly and said, let's not talk about this for now. If old mister is interested, I'll use a new method to brew a pot of tea for you in the future. I came here today because I have something to ask of you. Huh, you want to invite me to your Yanhuang College, right? It was easy to talk to smart people. Li Zishuan didn't even need to take the initiative to say it. Li Gang had already guessed the purpose of Li Zishuan's visit. He shook his head and couldn't help but laugh. This old man has already read today's Tang daily. What do you want to say should be in the newspaper, right? There is no high or low in learning. Engineering is only for the benefit of the world. Xiao Xian, although this old man agrees with this sentence, I'm afraid you will be criticized a lot if you write it like this. Li Zishuan said, I don't care about public opinion and criticism. If I can let engineering be known by the world, be used by the world, and benefit the world, then what do I have to fear even if I'm criticized? Li Gang slapped the table and laughed loudly. Huh, good. You are really a newborn calf that isn't afraid of tigers. This old man is very pleased that my Tang Empire has such a young talent like you. If your Yanhuang College has any use for this old man will not refuse. Li Zishuan said happily, Old mister, you agree? Li Gang smiled and said, yes. But your Yanhuang College mainly teaches engineering, right? Although this old man is familiar with the classics and history, I know very little about engineering and construction. I'm afraid I can't help you much. Li Zishuan had already considered this point. He smiled and said, although Yanhuang Academy mainly imparts engineering, Confucianism also plays a large part. I believe that Confucianism cultivates the heart, while engineering benefits the world. Without the influence of Confucianism, even if the students are capable, they will not be of any benefit to the country if their three views are not correct. Besides, you are a person of virtue and prestige. Even if you don't do anything and just stand in our Yanhuang College, you'll be able to smell the scholarly fragrance of Yanhuang College within 100 miles. Who says you can't help? Although this was a little exaggerated, Li Gang's role was really like a stabilizing needle. His prestige in the scholarly world and his reputation among the people were among the top of the famous scholars in Tang Empire. With Li Gang joining Yanhuang College, the overall level of the school would rise by a level. Li Gang stroked his beard, pointed at Li Zishuan, and scolded with a smile. You brat, I don't know where you learned this skill of flattery. Fine, fine. This old man will go to your Yanhuang College to teach. You have to provide as much good wine and food as you want. You brat can give the other teachers such a high salary, so you can definitely give me a few jars of wine. How could Li Zishuan not agree? He hurriedly said, Old mister, don't worry. This is how it should be. This is how it should be. Li Gang nodded with extreme satisfaction. Then he thought for a while and said, Coincidentally, this old man has a few close friends. They are quite knowledgeable, but they have already retired. Previously, you said in the newspaper, since they have retired from the world, why don't they come to Yanhuang College to teach a few disciples and watch them maneuver unhindered and leave a mark for generations to come? This old man agrees very much. This old man will invite them to come to Chang and some other day. You brat, come and meet them. If you think they are okay, you can also invite them to Yanhuang College. Li Zishuan waved his hand and said with a smile, Since old mister thinks that they are knowledgeable, what other opinions do I have? If you think it's okay, as long as they are willing to come to Yanhuang College. This brat would be more than happy. I just don't know if there are any of your friends who are good at engineering, machinery, and machinery. Li Gang was startled. After a while, he nodded with a heavy expression and said, This old man does know someone who is very proficient in engineering, machinery, and machinery. However, we haven't contacted each other for many years. This old man will write a letter in a while and see if we can still contact each other. If there is a chance, I can recommend you. Li Zishuan's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, Thank you for your trouble. He had been in Tang for so long, but the number of engineering talents he knew could be counted on one hand. Yanhuang College would be the #1 engineering college in Tang in the future. How could it not have a reserve of top talents? So today, Li Gang really solved his urgent problem. Li Gang hesitated and said, But this person's identity is a bit special. Do you really want to meet? Chapter 568. Li Zishuan, come out. Li Zishuan, you're promoting engineering and deceiving the people. You're a disgrace to the saints. Come out and give us an explanation. That's right. Li Zishuan, come out and give us an explanation. Yongla Lane, Li Residence Gate. After Jiang Tsuhua led dozens of women to surround the Li residence, the gate of the Li residence was once again blocked after half a month. The people who were blocking the gate were a group of scholars led by Cui Yinhan. There were a total of 40 to 50 people. The status of the scholars was much higher than that of the women last time. Therefore, the commotion this time was even bigger. There were also more people watching the show. Many of the onlookers who had a good impression of the Li family could not help but worry for the Li family. This was because the scholars' mouths could turn black into white. If the Li family did not handle this matter properly, then the scholars would spread the news and the Li family's reputation would be ruined. Who are you? How dare you come to the Li residence to cause trouble? With such a big matter happening, there would naturally be servants to report to the inner court. Before the person in charge came, Pang Feiji had to stand up for a while. He pulled out the long knife at his waist and shouted coldly at the group of people in front of him. Some of the timid scholars were frightened by Pang Feiji's cold-faced Hades. However, Cui Yinhan had seen the world. He knew that Pang Feiji would not dare to make a move. Therefore, he pretended to be righteous. He took 2 steps forward and said loudly, Riches and honor cannot be corrupted. Poverty cannot be moved. Might cannot be subdued. Today, we are here to demand an explanation from Li Zishuan. Why would we be afraid of a small guard like you? If you have the guts, then chop your knife down on my head. These righteous words immediately boosted the morale of the group of scholars. Many scholars loudly cheered. That's right, we can't submit to force. We are here to seek an explanation. Why would we be afraid of a little guard like you? Hurry up and ask Li Zishuan, the cultured scum, to come out. That's right. Either get Li Zishuan to come out, or bring your knife down on our heads. Let's see if you still dare to commit murder in broad daylight. Facing this group of aggressive scholars, Brother Chicken couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect that not only did his threats fail to frighten the other party, it instead made them even more arrogant. He glared fiercely at Cui Yunhan, the scholar who was leading the troublemakers, and said loudly, Oomph! My Lord Ju is not at home now. All of you are causing trouble in broad daylight. If you do not leave quickly, I can only let the people from Wuhou government come and capture all of you. Cui Yinhan did not back down and retorted, Gathering people to cause trouble? Which eye of yours saw us gathering to cause trouble? We are only here to reason with Li Zishuan. This is a matter between us scholars. You have no right to interrupt. Get out of the way. Tell Li Zishuan to come out. I don't believe that he's not at home. That's right. This is a matter between us scholars. Why are you interrupting? That's right. Tell Li Zishuan to come out. What's the point of hiding at home like a coward? The more they caused, the fiercer they became. The more they spoke, the more they wanted a mile. They all pressed forward, wanting to crash into the Li family's main door. Brother Chicken was both angry and shocked. He shouted loudly, All of you stop! Stop them! Whoever dares to go forward, chase them away with sticks. The Lee family's guards at the side all agreed. Whenever they saw a scholar who dared to cross the line, they would mercilessly hit them with sticks. They didn't dare to hit their vital parts. They only hit their buttocks and thighs. In a moment, they were crying out in pain. Lee family, Li Jingma, Madame Li, and Han Yushi were shocked when they received the news. Madame Li asked, "Where's Xian?" With such a big matter happening, only Li Zishuan, this cultured person, could handle it well in the entire Li family. Cui Yunhan was right about one thing. Today's matter was between scholars. It was useless for others to step forward. Only Li Zishuan could do it personally. Besides, they couldn't let Han Yushi, this woman, go out to solve the conflict. Putting aside her identity as a scholar, the people outside were all men. It was very inappropriate for a woman like her to step forward. Han Yushi quickly replied, "Mother, her husband had gone out a long time ago. He should be at Crooked River Square, old Mr. Li Gang's house now. I'll ask Sanbao to call him back." Madame Li nodded and said, "Go quickly. Ask Xian'er to come back quickly. Let Pang Siggy help out outside for a while." Han Yushi nodded and called Sanbao over. She gave a few instructions, and Sanbao sneaked out from the back door. Li Jingma shouted from behind, "Sanbao, ride my horse. Hurry up. Io, you bunch of unruly slaves. How dare you commit violence in public? Just wait to go to jail. Everyone, they don't dare to really hit us. Let's rush in and find Li Zishuan. Yes, rush in and find Li Zishuan, this refined scum, coward." Those scholars who suffered physical pain in front of the Li family's residence were incomparably furious. They couldn't help but curse. Cui Yunhan, on the other hand, was calmer. He kept fanning the flames from the back. When the scholars heard that, they felt that it was reasonable. They started to press forward with the sticks of the Li family's guards. When Brother Ji saw this, he was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. If these people barged in and offended the women in the residence, then he would really die 1,000 deaths. But if these scholars in front of him were to really hit them, he definitely couldn't hit them. If he really hit them, he might even cause trouble for Li Zishuan. He really didn't dare to act on his own accord. So at this moment, Brother Ji really didn't know what to do. Are you the ones who want to see me?" At this moment, many of the scholars who were causing trouble felt a bump on their shoulders. Then they felt a gust of wind brushing past their ears. Then they saw a man who was dressed like jade and had a dignified appearance. He stared at them and snorted coldly. "Li Zishuan?" Cui Yunhan's eyes flickered slightly. Then he pretended to be calm and said, "Li Zishuan, you finally dared to come out." That's right, the person who came was Li Zishuan. Sanbao had just left Yongle Lane when she met him. After he left Li Gang's house 15 minutes ago, of course, in the end, Li Gang didn't tell him what was special about that person's identity. He originally planned to go directly to Yang Lane to look for Su Hongji. After all, Su Hongji had taught with him for so long and had a very deep understanding of the new mathematics. So, Li Zishuan wanted to invite Su Hongji to Yanwang College to teach. But when he passed by Yongle Lane on the way, he could hear the commotion from outside. Just as he was about to investigate, Sanbao rode out on a horse. Li Zishuan asked and found out that his house was being blocked again. He hurriedly rode into the lane. When he arrived at the door, he saw that this group of people had gone overboard, which led to this scene. Chapter 569. Just you bunch of mad dogs. Are you worthy for me to hide? Just now, I just happened to not be around. In front of the Li residence, Li Zishuan looked at Cui Yunhan in front of him and said sarcastically, "He just descended from the sky, and the aura that he emitted was not something that Brother Chicken could compare with." This group of scholars were immediately frightened and did not dare to take another step forward. But hearing his words, many scholars' faces flashed with a trace of anger. They were all cultured people. How can they be called mad dogs? Cui Yunhan asked with an ugly expression, "Who are you calling mad dogs?" Li Zishuan smiled contemptuously and said, "I'm talking about all of you. Look at all of you now. If you're not mad dogs, then what are you? With your current appearance, you still have the nerve to call yourselves the disciples of saints. You keep on saying that what you learned is the teachings of saints. Did saints teach you to barge into private residences in broad daylight? Did saints teach you that you don't know the hierarchy and have no respect for your elders? Please don't smear the face of saints. Behind the door, Han Yushi, who knew that Lisa Xuan had already rushed back, couldn't help but feel excited when she heard these words. Last time, although those women surrounded the Li residence, but from a woman's point of view, she sympathized with those people who lost their husbands, so she didn't have much ill feelings towards them. But today, the nature was completely different. These scholars in front of the door almost barged into the residence just now. How was this behavior different from robbers? Furthermore, there are so many women in the residence. If these people came in, wouldn't it ruin their reputation? Therefore, when she heard Lisa Xuan scolding the scholars, Han Yushi felt very relieved in her heart. She felt relieved, but Cui Yunhan was almost angered to death. After taking a few deep breaths, this fellow said, "You are going too far. You are an important official of the imperial court in vain, but your mouth is full of filthy words. We are here today to unveil your ugly face." Ugly? Lisa Xuan chuckled coldly and said, "Then why don't you tell me how I'm ugly?" Cui Yunhan said righteously, "You promote miscellaneous studies and deceive the people. You are a disgrace to saints, and you are a disciple of saints in vain. In order to lure more people to learn your skills, you did not hesitate to let the Tang daily become a tool for you to promote your skills. You are the scum of my Tang Dynasty. Shameful." Lisa Xuan used his pinky finger to dig his ears and then asked, "I have learned martial arts from my master since young. I learned Taoism, not Confucianism. How did I become a disciple of saints? You said that this duke promotes miscellaneous studies and deceives the people. Then what is miscellaneous studies? Could it be that all the theories outside of Confucianism are miscellaneous? Do you dare to say that?" Cui Yunhan saw Lisa Xuan staring at him with burning eyes. He hesitated for a while and did not know how to answer. However, Lisa Xuan didn't give him the opportunity to hesitate. Step by step, he pressed, "His Majesty has established more than 50 different subjects for the imperial examinations. Xiaocai, Ming Jing, Jinshi, Ming Fa, Ming Calligraphy, Ming Swan, and so on. According to what you said, other than the 3 subjects of Xiaocai, Ming Jing, and Jinshi, the rest are all miscellaneous subjects that are unnecessary to establish. Are you wiser than His Majesty? Also, Yinhuang College was established after His Majesty discussed with the officials in the imperial court. You are just a student without any achievements. Do you dare to question the decision of His Majesty and the officials in the imperial court?" After coming to the Tang Dynasty for so long, Lisa Xuan was no longer the ignorant person who knew nothing about the current situation of the Tang Dynasty, especially since he originally intended to set up an academy. As the principal of a school, of course he would specially do some research on the imperial examination system of this era. The more he understood, the more confident he was. This was because he realized that the cultural environment in the early Tang Dynasty was really relaxed. There was no situation where only Confucianism could survive and other skills were all miscellaneous studies. This could be seen from Li Erding's imperial examination system. There are more than 50 types of subjects, which could be said to cover all fields of knowledge. Hearing this, Cui Yunhan's face turned green and white. Even if he was given 10 guts, he would not dare to say anything bad about Li Erjin and the officials in the imperial court. If he really said that, no one could save him. The rest of the scholars who had come to cause trouble were also speechless. They were no longer as arrogant as before. They didn't have pig brains. How would they dare to accept such a sensitive topic? In the end, Cui Yunhan was not willing to admit defeat. He gritted his teeth and argued, "Even if what you said is reasonable, it does not change the fact that you used the Tang daily to promote your skills and deceive the people. All the news in the Tang Dynasty daily is based on facts. How can you say that it's false?" Cui Yunhan said, "You said that skills can allow one to travel 1,000 miles in a day, and that skills can allow one to fly above the 9 heavens. Isn't this promotion? Isn't this purposely exaggerating the facts? Let me ask you, Who in the world has seen something that can allow one to travel 1,000 miles in a day or fly above the nine heavens? The rest of the scholars' eyes lit up. They felt that they had found something to criticize. Hence, they all excitedly shouted, "That's right! How can there be such a tool in the world? You must be bragging. That's right, that's right. You are purposely making up lies to deceive the people." Li Zixuan crossed his arms and looked at Cui Yunhan and the rest as if they were idiots. He said contemptuously, "What a bunch of retards! Just because you haven't seen it before, does it mean that it doesn't exist in the world? Without investigation, you have no right to speak. Within 3 years, you will definitely see the kind of tool that can travel 1,000 miles in a day. Furthermore, it was made by my Yanwang College. As for that flying tool that can carry people, have you not heard of it? Half a month ago, I destroyed the Snake Spirit Mountain by myself. I sat on that kind of tool and flew up. Have you guys not heard of it?" Cui Yunhan was shocked. After such a long time, he had almost forgotten about it. However, after thinking about it, he said with relief, "That flying tool is just your side of the story. If you really have that kind of thing, why would you hide it from others? There must be something fishy." After saying that, Cui Yunhan felt that his analysis was very reasonable. In his opinion, if anyone had such a heaven-defying tool, they would definitely show it off everywhere. However, Li Zixuan had not done anything for such a long time. There must be something fishy about it. Perhaps the rumor that Li Zixuan flew up the Snake Spirit Mountain was fabricated. Li Zixuan was so angry that he was amused. He sneered and said, Do you think that everyone is like you? Once you have something good, you must let the whole world know about it. If you keep a low profile, you will think that others are lying. I have to say, you are really an idiot." Chapter 570. In the Ganlu Palace. Lier was quietly flipping through the memorials. Perhaps the contents of the memorials made him unhappy. He frowned and looked very serious. Although it was a rest day and there was no need for morning court, Lier, as the ruler of a country, would not give himself a day off like the other courtiers. He still had to read through the backlog of memorials. It was really tough. "Your Majesty, there's a group of students from the Hongwen Institute causing a ruckus in front of Li Zhanshi's house. There are many people gathered in Yongle Lane now." Zhao Song walked in from outside the hall. Initially, he saw that Lier was concentrating on reviewing the memorials and did not dare to disturb him. He did not expect Lier to suddenly raise his head as though he had sensed his arrival. Lier frowned and said, "Why are there people surrounding his house again?" Zhao Song cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, it is said that the group of students felt that Li Zhanshi was promoting engineering in the newspaper and deceiving the people. They wanted to argue with Li Zhanshi face to face. At first, Li Zhanshi was not at home, and the group of students wanted to barge into the Li residence. Fortunately, Li Zhanshi rushed back in time. Lier heard this, and his eyes flashed fiercely. He said angrily, "How dare you? There are people who dare to barge into the residence of an important courtier in broad daylight. Do these people still have the imperial court in their eyes? Do they still have me? Send a decree immediately and let Duguxan lead the imperial army to chase them away. Those who are unwilling to leave, arrest them all. All right, bring the student who started the ruckus to the Supreme Court for interrogation. If he has ulterior motives, expel him from the school and never enroll him again." Zhao Song could not help but be stunned. He did not expect that Lier would be so angry and give such a heavy punishment for an ordinary ruckus. It was really illogical. Although that was what he thought, Zhao Song did not dare to ask. He bowed and said, "Yes, Your Majesty." Then, he prepared to go out and make the arrangements. Lier suddenly asked, "How was the Supreme Court's interrogation of Jiang Tsuhua from last time? Did they find out the mastermind?" Zhao Song stopped in his tracks and thought for a while. He cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, according to Jiang Tsuhua, she was indeed instructed by someone. However, she did not see the person's face. Judging from the voice, it should be a young man around 20 years old." "A young man in his 20s? Lier furrowed his brows and ordered thoughtfully, Let the people from the Supreme Court interrogate the student who led the trouble today. See if he has any connection with the previous incident. Zhao Song had an idea. He bowed and said, "Yes." Lier waved his hand, and Zhao Song retreated. Then he leaned against the dragon throne and closed his eyes in deep thought. He was indeed very angry just now, especially when he heard the words advocating engineering and deceiving the people. He was so angry that he wanted to arrest everyone who was causing trouble in the Li family. After experiencing the annihilation of the Snake Spirit Mountain, Li Er realized that Li Zexuan was far more important than he had imagined. The celestial lamp and gunpowder. These two things seemed to have opened the door to a new world for him. For the first time, he realized that engineering could not only play a role in the people's livelihood, education, and production, but it could also play an even bigger role in the military. Lier had never been so eager for Li Zexuan to quickly build Yanhuan College and train a group of engineers. When that time came, Goguryeo and the Northern Turks would be like thin paper in front of the armed Tang Empire. At that time, he, Li Shimin, would achieve a hegemony that even Qin Huang and Han Wu could not achieve. Such a beautiful vision. Just thinking about it made one's blood boil. And now, there was actually someone who used engineering as an unorthodox theory to talk about it, and even made Li Zexuan's whole family restless. How could Lier tolerate such a pig teammate? Bring today's Tang daily for me to see. After a while, Lier opened his eyes and ordered the servants in the hall. Yes. Stupid C***. In front of Li Zexuan's residence, Cui Yunhan was stunned. Of course, he did not know what stupid C** meant, but his intuition told him that this word definitely meant something bad. Didn't you see Li Zexuan's mocking face? Cui Yunhan, who had always been pampered, had never suffered such humiliation. His face turned red, and he said angrily, "You actually scolded me again?" Li Zexuan curled his lips and said, "Scolded you? So what if I scolded you? Scolding you is already considered light. You brat, you brought these people to my residence to cause trouble and even wanted to barge into my residence. I don't care who you are, but today's matter will not end well." After saying that, he turned his head and said, "Feiji, capture all these people. Whoever dares to resist, beat them up ruthlessly. Just leave them with one last breath." The actions of these scholars today had completely angered Li Zexuan. If the tiger did not show its might, people would really treat him like a sick cat. Everyone took in a cold breath. What did he mean by just leave them with one last breath? He was going to beat them to death. But these people in front of them were the top students of the Hongwen school. Lord, this. Pang Feiji's eyes widened. He could not believe his ears and said hesitantly. Li Zexuan snorted in an unfriendly tone. "What? You still don't dare? If I tell you to beat them, then beat them. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility." Pang Feiji shivered and said hurriedly, "Yes. Lord, I won't hide it from you. Our brothers have tolerated these people for a long time." After saying that, he turned his head and shouted, "What are you all standing there for? Hurry up, beat them up with all your might." "Yes." Seeing a group of tall and sturdy men carrying sticks rushing over, the students were shocked. At this moment, they suddenly remembered that this young man in front of them was a peerless, ruthless person who slaughtered an entire sect by himself not long ago. He killed people without batting an eyelid. "Li Zexuan, you dare? We are all students of the Hongwen school. If you dare to beat us up, His Majesty will not let you off." Cui Yunhan shouted in fear. Li Zexuan curled his lips and snorted indifferently. "Why wouldn't I dare? Pang Feiji, hurry up and do it." Pang Feiji hurriedly replied. Then he flew forward and grabbed Cui Yunhan's arm effortlessly and lifted him up. The rest of the guards followed suit and rushed towards the 50 students. Brother Chicken was right. Previously, when these scholars crashed into the mansion, they were afraid that they would cause trouble for Li Zexuan. Therefore, they only used their physical bodies to block them and did not fight back at all. They had suffered a lot and were still suppressing their anger. "Wait, Li Zhanshe, stop first. At this moment, a group of soldiers galloped over on horseback. The officer in the lead shouted at Li Zishuan. Chapter 571. General, you're here at the right time. You're here at the right time. This Li Zishuan instigated his servant to commit a crime in front of everyone. He has no respect for the law. Hurry up and arrest him. When Shui Yunhan saw the group of soldiers coming over, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. While Brother Chicken was in a daze, he suddenly broke free and ran to the leading general and complained loudly. That young general was stunned and asked, "Did you bring all these students here?" "Yes." Shui Yunhan nodded subconsciously. Then he felt that it was inappropriate to say that, so he changed his words. "No, they are. Arrest him and bring him away." The young general didn't listen to Shui Yunhan's explanation at all. He waved his hand and ordered. "Yes, sir." Two Forbidden Army soldiers immediately came up from behind and captured Shui Yunhan like an eagle catching a chick. Hey, you got the wrong person. It's Li Zishuan who is committing a crime in front of everyone. Let me go." Shui Yunhan was dumbfounded. When he came back to his senses, he kicked his legs and roared. That young general didn't even look at him. Instead, he went up to Li Zishuan and bowed respectfully. He cupped his fists and said, "Sir, His Majesty ordered me to bring the person who is causing trouble away. Please make things easier for me." Li Zishuan laughed. It's sheeping. Can I not make things easier for you since you're here? Bring him away." The young general was taken aback and said in surprise, "Lord Zhu actually still remembers this general. This general is extremely honored." Li Zishuan sighed and said, "How many of the soldiers around Dugu Xen don't I know? Speaking of which, why didn't he come personally?" The young general's name was Sun Jiping. He was a soldier in the Forbidden Army. He also participated in the attack on Snake Spirit Mountain. Li Zishuan had a good memory and vaguely remembered that Dugu Xen called his name a few times. It was also because he had participated in that great battle that Sun Jiping's attitude towards Li Zishuan was so respectful. Although the man in front of him was young, he had annihilated a sect and avenged his fellow soldiers. He was worthy of Sun Jiping's lifelong respect. "Sir, General Dugu Xen took leave a few days ago. That's why I brought the soldiers here." When Li Zishuan gave the order, he only asked Dugu Xen to bring the soldiers over and forgot that Dugu Xen took leave. Zhao Song was too busy pondering the emperor's will and forgot about it. When he went to Bea and couldn't find Dugu Xen, he realized it. However, the situation was urgent, and it was too late for him to go back and ask for a new order of Dugu Xen's situation's mind, so he sent Sun Jiping. "Oh, I see. Then you go and do your work first." Although Li Zishuan was curious about why Dugu Xen took leave, he also knew that it wasn't the time to gossip. Didn't he see that a few scholars were preparing to sneak away? Sun Jiping cupped his hands in acknowledgement, then turned to the scholars and said coldly, "You have gathered in broad daylight to cause trouble." His Majesty was very angry when he heard about this and ordered you to leave immediately. If there's a next time, he will definitely punish you severely. If anyone still refuses to realize their mistake and stays here, they will be expelled from school immediately. Buzz. Expelled from school? Oh my God, let's go. This Shui Yunhan has really screwed us over. General, it was Shui Yunhan who instigated us to come here. It has nothing to do with us. That's right. All of this has nothing to do with us. We will leave now. Yes, let's leave now. All the students were shocked. They didn't expect that today's incident would be so serious that they were almost expelled from school. How could they let that happen? Without their school status, their identity as scholars that they were proud of would be gone. They wouldn't be able to get scholarly honors for the rest of their lives. Wouldn't they be asking for their lives? Therefore, as soon as Sun Jiping's voice fell, the scholars scattered like birds and beasts, fleeing in all directions. They were afraid that Sun Jiping would misunderstand and expel them from school if they were too late. Only two scholars looked at Sun Jiping with a complicated look in their eyes, and then slowly left the scene. Hey, hey, hey. I want to leave too. Let go of me. I won't cause trouble anymore. I will leave now. Seeing that he was the only one who was caught, Shui Yunhan couldn't help but panic. Behave yourself, Sun Jiping reprimanded. Then he cupped his hands and bid farewell to Li Zixuan before leading his team away. The farce came and went quickly. It ended just like that. Let's go, let's go. Let's go home. Sigh. That doll has been taken away. Now it's all good. Peace and quiet. I wonder how His Majesty will deal with that scholar. When the onlookers saw that there was no more drama to watch, they began to gossip while preparing to slip away. They each returned to their own homes and mothers. At this moment, they heard Li Zixuan shout, "Everyone, please wait. I have something to say." Hearing that, the crowd stopped and turned their attention back to Li Zixuan curiously. Li Zixuan saw that they stayed and continued. "Among you, there should be many who read today's newspaper, right? For those who read the newspaper, there must be some who, like those scholars, think that I am bragging and purposely exaggerating my skills. Haha, it's useless to say more. You won't believe my one-sided words. Now, I'm making an agreement with all of you and the people of Chang. Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow night, you will witness a miracle. At that time, you will understand that what Tang daily said today is all true." The reason why he said this to these people was that there were many students among them. This could be considered as a change of direction to advertise Yinhuang College and engineering. Secondly, he hoped to improve the ordinary people's impression of engineering. This would be beneficial for future enrollment. Tomorrow night? Lord Li, can you tell us what will happen tomorrow night? Yes, yes. Lord Zhu, can you tell us in advance? Everyone saw Li Zixuan's current amiable appearance and was no longer as ferocious as before, so they all asked curiously. Huh, tomorrow night, you will know. Everyone, you can leave now. Li Zixuan smiled and didn't give them an answer. Instead, he turned around and went back into the mansion. The crowd sighed in disappointment and left in groups of 3 to 5. Husband. In the courtyard, Han Yushi smiled sweetly and called out softly. Although the situation this time was more dangerous than the last time, her man was by her side, sheltering her from the wind and rain. This made her feel very happy. I have frightened my wife. Where are father and mother? Li Zixuan squeezed his wife's hand, comforted her softly, and then asked. Han Yushi said softly, "Father and mother are in the front hall. Husband, go take a look." Li Zixuan nodded and pulled Han Yushi to the front hall. Chapter 572. Monthly Pass +1. Li Jingma and Madame Li were also shocked by the commotion outside. Li Zixuan talked to the 2 elders in the room for a while before he walked out. He called Brother Ji to the west courtyard and asked, "Fei Ji, how's the interrogation of Jiang Tsuehua from last time going? Why is it that after so long, they still haven't found the mastermind?" Pang Fei Ji replied, "Lord Zhu, I've asked the people in the Supreme Court about this. According to Jiang Tsuehua, someone gave her 100 strings of cash and asked her to instigate those women who had lost their husbands to come here and cause trouble. However, the person who instigated her was wearing a bamboo hat and didn't show up, so she didn't know who that person was. She only knew that it was a man around 20 years old." Li Zixuan snorted coldly and said, "Still hiding your head but showing your tail? No matter where you hide, I'll find you. Fei Ji, if anyone dares to block my door in the future, you don't have to worry about anything. If you should chase them away, chase them away. If you can't chase them away, beat them to death. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. If I can't even take care of my own family, what's the point of being a Lord Jew?" Pang Feiji shrunk his neck. Li Zixuan looked like he was really angry. He could only salute and agree. "I understand. Don't worry, Lord Jew. In the future, no one will be a threat to the people in the mansion." Li Zixuan replied with an "in" and let Brother Ji do his work. He went to inform Han Yushi and then went to Chongren Lane to look for Su Hongji. Su Hongji had been partners with Li Zixuan for a few months, and he had a very good relationship with Li Zixuan. After Su Hongji figured out Li Zixuan's intentions, he immediately agreed to Li Zixuan's request. He even urged Li Zixuan to quickly write the next volume of mathematics textbooks for him. He wanted to learn in advance. Li Zixuan naturally agreed. After coming out of Su Hongji's house, Li Zixuan looked at the time and went straight home. When he walked to the door, he saw a woman in white standing under the ginkgo tree next to the door, and it was an acquaintance, Lung Yuyao. "Miss Lung, since you're already here, why don't you come in and have a seat?" Li Zixuan stepped forward and greeted him. When Lung Yuyao saw Li Zixuan, she was slightly relieved. She took out a note from the purse at her waist and handed it to Li Zixuan. She said, "No need. This is what my young master asked me to give you. Since it's here, I'll take my leave first." The reason why she would rather stand outside and bask in the sun than go in was mainly because she was afraid that the people in the mansion would misunderstand. Although she had come to the Li family with Wang Runbiao before, at that time, Li Zixuan hadn't married Han Yushi yet. If she went in at this time and was misunderstood by Han Yushi, it would be awkward. Li Zixuan opened the note strangely, and then his expression changed. He quickly called out to Lung Yuyao and asked, "Miss Lung, please wait." Lung Yuyao stopped in her tracks and turned to look at him in confusion. She clearly meant to ask if there was anything else. Li Zixuan picked up the note and asked, "Renbiao, what's the meaning of this?" "It's literally what it means." Lung Yuyao replied expressionlessly. Although her attitude towards Li Zixuan wasn't the same as before, she didn't want to kill him. But that was it. The only person in the world who could make her smile was Wang Renbiao. As for other people, it was a blessing to be able to talk to them normally. If she used the sword in her hand to talk, then the other party was unlucky. Li Zixuan was choked by this sentence. He took a deep breath and asked again, "What I mean is Renbiao saying that the Chui family was doing something a while ago?" Lung Yuyao still used a calm tone to reply, "I don't know." "Then who from the Chui family went to the gathering of the 5 great families last time?" Li Zixuan was speechless. After a moment, he thought and asked. Lung Yuyao didn't say that she didn't know this time. She thought seriously before answering. "It seems to be Chui Xuanji and Chui Shen from Qinghe Chui and Bowling Chui respectively." Li Zixuan nodded and said, "Okay, I understand. Thank you for telling me, Miss Lung." Lung Yuyao replied with an and then floated away. Wife, what are you doing in the courtyard on such a hot day?" After seeing Lung Yuyao walk away, Li Zixuan turned and entered the residence. He saw Han Yushi with her back facing him and walking quickly to the front hall. So, he couldn't help but chase after her and ask. When Han Yushi heard his voice, her body instantly froze on the spot. She looked flustered and said helplessly, Nothing. Husband, you're back. Let's go for lunch. Dad and Mom are waiting for you." Li Zixuan was even more suspicious and asked again, "Really nothing?" Han Yushi hurriedly said, "Really nothing. Husband, quickly go and eat." Oh, although Li Zixuan didn't believe it, Han Yushi didn't want to say it, and he didn't want to get to the bottom of it. So, he shook his head and went into the house to eat. Han Yushi, who was behind him, pouted and muttered softly, "What a fool." After lunch, the couple returned to the west courtyard. According to the usual practice, this was the time to take a nap. However, Li Zixuan didn't take a nap today. Instead, he bent over a few tables and wrote a manuscript. It had to be said that for the sake of Yanhuang College, he sacrificed too much of his rest time as a big otaku. "Oh, wife, didn't I tell you to sleep first? Why aren't you sleeping?" Feeling that there was someone behind him, Li Zixuan smiled slightly and said without looking back. Han Yushi stammered, I can't sleep." Li Zixuan put down the pen in his hand and turned his head to ask in confusion, "Why?" He wanted to say that he didn't have time to sleep even if he wanted to. Why was there someone who had time to sleep but couldn't sleep? Han Yushi avoided his gaze and said hesitantly, My husband, who was the girl who looked for you this morning? Sweat. So it's because of this." At this moment, Li Zixuan understood, even if he was stupid. He found it funny and said, "That girl is the maid of the Wang family's young master. What's wrong? Is my wife jealous?" Han Yushi was relieved at first, and then she asked doubtfully, "Jealous? I didn't get jealous at noon?" Ahem. Li Zixuan was stunned. Only then did he remember that Li Er hadn't given Feng Xuanling's wife the poisonous wine yet, so the other meaning of the word jealous hadn't been developed yet. He patted his head and changed the topic. Well, my wife, you should be relieved now. Go to sleep. I'll come over after I finish writing this manuscript. Han Yushi looked embarrassed and said, What do you mean by relieved or not relieved? Husband, what are you talking about? At this time, she inadvertently glanced at the manuscript Li Zixuan was writing and saw that the title was On a Full Moon Night, Flying Immortals from Outer Space. Chapter 573. The Night of the Full Moon, Flying Immortal from Outer Space. In the room, after Han Yushi saw the title of Li Zixuan's manuscript, she couldn't help but wonder, Husband, are you preparing to write a new novel? Outsiders didn't know that The Legend of a Mortal's Journey to Immortality was written by Li Zixuan. But how could Han Yushi not know? That was why she asked this question. Li Zixuan shook his head and said with a smile, That's not it. By the way, didn't you suspect that I have a relationship with other women just now? I'll give you a surprise tomorrow night and let you understand my feelings. Han Yushi was embarrassed, but she still said stubbornly, I didn't suspect you. Besides, you're young and have a bright future. It's normal even if you have 3 wives and 4 concubines. I won't throw a tantrum with you. Li Zixuan looked into her eyes and asked mischievously, If I marry other women, will you really not be unhappy? Han Yushi's pretty face turned pale. She bit her lips and said bitterly, I won't be unhappy. Seeing her like this, Li Zixuan couldn't bear to tease her anymore. He said softly, Little fool, I was just teasing you. Whether rich or poor, I, Li Zixuan, have my wife in this life. I won't marry anyone else. Han Yushi widened her eyes in surprise and said in disbelief, Husband, is what you said true? Although it was popular in ancient times to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, that was only because the situation forced it. In fact, which woman was willing to share her husband with other women? Han Yushi just said that because she didn't want Li Zixuan to think that she didn't see the big picture and didn't want her parents-in-law and neighbors to say that she was jealous. Of course, she didn't want Li Zixuan to marry a concubine. Looking at Han Yushi's cute appearance with her eyes wide open, Li Zixuan couldn't help but lightly touch her pure white forehead with his lips, and then said with a smile, Of course it's true. When have I ever lied to you? That day when we bowed to heaven and earth, I said that I wanted to be a celestial couple with my wife that everyone in the world would envy. Haha, let's start tomorrow night. What? Haha, you'll understand tomorrow night. Han Yushi playfully rolled her eyes and suddenly said, Oh right, husband, tomorrow is the Mid-Autumn Festival. We have to worship the moon and eat round pancakes at night. Li Zixuan was stunned when he heard this. He guessed that the round pancakes were probably mooncakes, but he didn't expect this custom to start in the Tang Dynasty. He couldn't help but feel homesick as he recalled the Mid-Autumn Festival in his previous life. According to legend, mooncakes originally originated in the early Tang Dynasty. During the reign of Wu De, Great General Li Jing defeated the Xiongnu and returned triumphantly on the 15th of August. At that time, there were Torpon businessmen who offered Li Yuan cakes to celebrate his victory. Li Yuan took the gorgeous cake box, took out the round pancakes, and smiled as he pointed to the moon in the sky and said, I should invite the toad with the pancakes. After saying that, he distributed the pancakes to the officials to taste together. From then on, there was the custom of eating pancakes on the Mid-Autumn Festival. At that time, the rich families would generally set up incense tables to worship the moon during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Round pancakes, watermelons, apples, grapes, and other offerings were all available. Among them, round pancakes and watermelons were absolutely indispensable. Exquisite families even specially cut watermelons into lotus-shaped offerings. But at that time, there was no such thing as mooncakes. In fact, mooncakes only existed in the Southern Song Dynasty. It was only in the Ming Dynasty that there were accurate records of eating mooncakes on the Mid-Autumn Festival. It's okay. We can worship the moon and eat round pancakes after we come back tomorrow night. Wife, quickly go to sleep. After a long while, Li Zishuan woke up from his memories. He patted Han Yushi's shoulder and smiled gently. Okay, yo, on the night of the full moon, flying immortals from beyond the heavens. What does Mr. Li mean? The next morning, some people who bought the newspaper couldn't help but discuss with their companions after seeing today's headlines. Sigh. Lord Li personally mentioned this matter yesterday, and I was still there at that time. But Lord Li didn't say what exactly it was. Yesterday? Oh, I heard that a group of scholars blocked Lord Li's house yesterday. Is that true? Yes. It even alarmed the emperor. The leading student has already been arrested by the imperial army. Sigh. This group of scholars is really ungrateful. They've wasted all their knowledge. Lord Li is such a good person, and they still have the face to cause trouble. Sigh. But Lord Li also told us yesterday that he would let the entire Chang and city witness a miracle tonight. He wants to prove that the so-called engineering in the newspaper is not a lie. Hell, then there's a lot to see tonight. It's the Mid-Autumn Festival, and we can watch the fun. Huh, that's right, that's right. At this moment, hundreds of thousands of people in Chang and were silently looking forward to the arrival of night. Imperial City, Changle Palace. Wow, is brother Xiao Xian going to show everyone the fairy lamp? I'm so looking forward to it. Changle leaned against the couch, holding the newspaper in her hand. After reading the headlines, an extremely bright smile immediately flashed on her exquisite little face. Her watery eyes were filled with longing. Ordinary people didn't know about the fairy lamp, but as the princess of the Tang Dynasty, Changle naturally knew about it long ago. As smart as she was, she almost instantly thought of what Li Zishuan was going to do at night from the words "on the night of the full moon, flying immortals." She couldn't help but feel envious. If Changle can go up to the fairy lamp once, then even if I immediately die of illness, I won't complain. But tonight is the Mid-Autumn Festival. I have to accompany father and mother for dinner. I can't leave the palace. Changle held her small face and was in a daze. After a moment, she muttered to herself. South of Chang and City, Dunhua Square, East County Duke's Mansion. Eldest uncle, hurry up and save Yunhan. A fat middle-aged man with an oily face hurriedly ran to the backyard and shouted anxiously at Cui Junchuo, who was resting with her eyes closed in the courtyard. Cui Junchuo opened her eyes with extreme dissatisfaction and scolded in a muffled voice. What are you shouting for? Look at yourself. Do you still look like a father? The middle-aged man cried and said, Eldest uncle, something happened to Yunhan. How can I continue to be calm? Hurry up and think of a way to save Yunhan. It turned out that this person was Cui Yunhan's biological father, Cui Simo. His father, Cui Junsu, was Cui Junchuo's brother. However, in the Cui family of Cui Yinmu, the title of nobility was passed down to Cui Junchuo. Therefore, now that something happened to Cui Yunhan, Cui Simo didn't go to Cui Junsu for help. Instead, he came to Cui Junchuo for help. After all, in the current Cui family of Qinghe, Cui Junchuo's title was the highest. Cui Junchuo was stunned. Then, she asked with an ugly expression, what happened to Yunhan? Shouldn't he be in the Hongwen Museum? Chapter 574. At night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. When night fell, an extremely bright moon slowly rose from the horizon. In this era where there were no street lamps, neon lights, or LED advertising screens, this bright moon was extremely eye-catching at night. The term Mid-Autumn Festival was first recorded in the Rites of Zhou, the Book of Rites. Moon Order said, the Mid-Autumn moon nourishes the old and nourishes the old. The custom of the Mid-Autumn Festival was to worship the moon at the beginning. The Book of Rites recorded the emperor's spring morning sun and the autumn moon. The autumn moon was to worship the moon. This meant that the emperor had already started worshiping the moon as early as the spring and autumn period. Later on, the aristocrats, officials, and scholars followed suit and gradually spread it to the people. Later on, the Mid-Autumn Festival was gradually used to celebrate the harvest. This was because the Mid-Autumn Festival in August was the season for crops and fruits to ripen. Tonight, the curfew in Tang and city was lifted. Therefore, although the sky was dark, the streets outside were still very lively. All kinds of vendors selling small toys began to wander the streets and alleys. Lanterns had also become the favorite plaything of the rich young masters and young ladies. Laughter and exclamations could be heard everywhere. Although there were no stars in the sky, the colorful lanterns gradually rose to replace the stars and adorn the night sky. Brother, I want to sit too. I want to sit in the fairy lantern too. In the west courtyard of the Li residence, Lan tugged on Li Zishuan's arm and kept acting coquettishly. Today was the Mid-Autumn Festival. Of course, Lan couldn't continue to stay in the Han family village. Mrs. Li personally went to fetch the little girl back early in the morning. Li Zishuan face-bombed. He didn't know where this little girl got the news from. He had clearly brought his wife here in secret. However, in this situation, he could only helplessly say, Lan, next time, we can't carry too many people on it at once. Otherwise, it will fall from the sky. After brother brings Yushi down, I'll bring you up to play. Okay? Lan looked up at Han Yushi. After hesitating for a while, she said, all right, then brother, you have to keep your word. Li Zishuan laughed and said, of course. Han Yushi bent over and patted Lan little head. She smiled and said, Lan don't worry. When he doesn't bring you along, I won't listen to him either. Lan nodded happily. Okay. Then, the little girl skipped down the corridor to watch the fun. Husband, can this really withstand the two of us? At this point, Han Yushi looked at the hanging basket and became a little hesitant and afraid. She grabbed Li Zishuan's arm and said worriedly. Li Zishuan smiled and comforted her. Don't worry, my wife. The celestial lamp will definitely be able to withstand the weight of two people. I'm confident about this. Besides, even if there's an accident, I will protect you. Let's go up. In fact, there wouldn't be much of a problem even if 3 people came up together, let alone 2 people. The reason why he didn't let Lan come up together was mainly because Li Zishuan wanted to take Han Yushi for a romantic time. Recently, he had been running around for the academy and the Snake Spirit Mountain. He didn't have much time to accompany his wife. Today, he could take this opportunity to make up for it. Okay. Han Yushi heard that and felt a little relieved. She lifted the corner of her skirt and successfully boarded the hanging basket with Li Zishuan's help. Then, Li Zishuan quickly untied the rope that fixed the hanging basket. Then, he also boarded the hanging basket and ignited the kerosene above the hanging basket. A moment later, the heavy hanging basket gradually overcame the gravity of the earth under the effect of the strong lifting force of the hot air. It slowly left the ground and rose into the sky, rising higher and higher. The servants of the Li residence looked at the huge ball of fire in the sky and were stunned. They were close, but they saw Li Zishuan and Han Yushi fly directly into the sky after sitting on the hanging basket. This kind of shock was not felt by others. Wah. We can really fly. Brother, Sister Yushi, you guys have to come down quickly. Don't run too far. Lan also wants to sit on it. Lan saw that the celestial lamp had successfully ascended into the sky. She did not care if others could hear her and hurriedly shouted towards the man and woman in the sky. Wow, young master and young madam really flew into the sky. They are flying so high. Xiaohe opened her eyes wide and exclaimed in surprise. Xiaoxi's eyes were filled with enchantment. Following beside Li Zishuan, she could always feel an endless stream of surprises. She looked at the handsome man and beautiful woman in the sky and sighed softly. Young master is so good to young madam. What's wrong? Xiaoxi, are you starting to have feelings for young master? Although Xiaoxi's voice was soft, Xiaohe heard clearly. She, who had a lively personality, smirked and teased Xiaoxi. Yeah, Xiaohe, what nonsense are you saying? Young master and young madam are so good to us. How can you say that? I'm not going to talk to you, Xiaoxi said shyly. This time, Lisa Schwan did not let the celestial lamp fly too high. It was only about 5 stories high. So, when he and Han Yushi flew out of the mansion, the people on the streets reflected the bright moonlight and immediately saw the outline of the celestial lamp clearly. Wow, Mother, look, what a huge lantern. A young boy who was eating candy and looked dignified saw the celestial lamp in the sky and quickly pulled the woman beside him and shouted excitedly. The beautiful woman looked up and exclaimed, "Who bought this sky lantern? Why is it so big?" In just a short while, more and more people noticed the strange phenomenon in the sky. Wow, such a huge sky lantern. It seems to have flown out of the Lee County men's mansion. Hey, look, there are people on the sky lantern. How is that possible? Although the sky lantern is huge, how can it carry people? Damn, there are really people. And it's not just one person. There are 2 people. Wow, isn't that young man in white Lord Lee? Then the woman in white next to him must be Lord Lee's wife, a talented man and a beautiful woman, a celestial couple. Countless people exclaimed at the celestial lamp under the moonlight. There were even people who were chasing after the celestial lamp. Luckily, it was only a light breeze tonight. Otherwise, these people would not be able to catch up even if they ran until their legs broke. Wow, I understand now. This is what Lord Lee said in the newspaper today. Celestial flying on the night of the full moon. Lord Lee wasn't lying when he said that engineering could make people fly. Oh, so that's it. Then what kind of engineering is this? It's really amazing. TSK. Compared to engineering, Lord Lee's celestial couple is the one that is really enviable. Chapter 575. Monthly ticket +2. Wow. Hubby, we're really flying. In the sky, Han Yushi was 100 times more excited than the onlookers below. She looked at the buildings that were getting smaller and smaller below and felt very fresh. She had never been able to look at the magnificent Chang in city from such a high position. She had also never been able to be with the person she loved so quietly and undisturbed. She was really satisfied. Lisa Schwan smiled and lazily hugged Han Yushi's slender waist. He said, "Yes, we're flying. Only in the sky can we not be bound by any imperial power and secular etiquette. We can do whatever we want. There's only the 2 of us. Do you like it, my wife?" Han Yushi quickly nodded and replied, Yes. I like it very much. Thank you, hubby, for being so good to me." "Huh, my wife. I'll take you to Torchong and City tonight. Let them envy us, this immortal couple." His wife was really easy to satisfy, but Lisa Schwan felt that it was not enough. He pointed to the other markets below and said with a smile. Han Yushi blinked and was very tempted, but in the end, she shook her head and said, "Let's not. Lon is still waiting for us below. We'll just stay up there for a while and then go down." Lisa Schwan laughed and said, "Ha. That little girl still has other friends to play with. Don't worry, my wife. If she doesn't see us in a while, she'll definitely go out and play with others. It's rare that the curfew in Chong and City is lifted tonight. Let me accompany you. Tonight, millions of people will be envious of us." When Han Yushi heard that, she could no longer refuse. She said sweetly in her heart, "Yes." But then she seemed to think of something and looked up. "But hubby, the wind is blowing from the south now. Our fairy lantern can only float to the north. How can we tour Chong and City?" Lisa Schwan chuckled and said smugly, "Wife, watch carefully. Watch my 18 dragon-subduing palms. Oh, quick look. There's a huge lantern in the sky." Lisa Schwan was right. It was rare that there was no curfew in Chong, and tonight, so many people would not go to bed so early. Those who had money would go to the night market, while those who had no money would go to their homes to chat and beat their sons. All the markets were bustling. It was precisely because no one was sleeping and Lisa Schwan was flying at a low altitude that the celestial lamp caused a huge commotion wherever it went. Wow, there are 2 more people up there. This should be the meaning of celestial flying on a full moon night, right? Sir Lee really didn't lie. There seems to be another person dancing. Was Lord Ju's wife dancing for Lord Ju? They are so loving. But aren't they offending public decency by doing this in public? Tisk, if you have the ability, why don't you go up as well? You'll be offending public decency. Seriously. F***CK. No, no, no. That's not Madame Ju dancing, but Lord Ju boxing. What kind of F***king look are you guys looking at? Then Lord Ju is really good to Madame Ju. Ping Kong Fong. This was the most famous red light district in Chang and City. It was commonly known as the Northern Li's famous flower district. In the Tang Dynasty, there was no rule that officials were not allowed to visit prostitutes. As for the scholars who came to take the imperial examination, visiting their confidants at Ping Kong Fong was simply a semi-official activity. If anyone did not go, it would not be called chastity, but a country bumpkin. Therefore, in the past, although the doors of Ping Kong Fong were closed at night, the brothels in the square were still lit by red candles. There were dancing, couples coming and going, and singing in low voices. Tonight, there was no curfew in Chang, and in Ping Kong Fong was even more lively. Many young people secretly came here to fool around in the name of going out to drink with their friends. Ping Kong Fong was full of traffic, and it seemed even more crowded. Master Hu, come in and play. Our Xiao Chui misses you very much. Baiwa Building, the largest brothel in Ping Kong Fong. A middle-aged woman with heavy makeup pulled a fat man and laughed coquettishly. Hee, am I not here now? Mother Hua quickly asked Xiao Chui to come over. Hey, I'll be here soon. Mother Hua, where's your family's courtesan, Miss Yen? Why don't I see her? At this moment, a young man in luxurious clothes walked over and asked with an unhappy expression. Mother Hua's expression froze, and she murmured, Young Master Nyo, Miss Yin, or hasn't been feeling well these few days. Wow, what a huge lantern. Why are there so many people following down there? At this moment, Li Zixuan's fairy lantern happened to pass by Ping Kong Fong. This huge fairy lantern shook everyone's heart. Mother Hua, that's Lord Li and his wife. They came from Yonglo Lane, and they should be touring Chang and City. I heard it from those people just now. A page boy pointed at the commoners who were chasing after the fairy lantern and said to Mother Hua. After the surrounding ladies heard it, all of them became excited. Wow, Lord Li is such an affectionate young man. He's so handsome and gentle. Lord Li, wait for me. Can you let me go up there for a while? A girl in a pink dress suddenly screamed and chased after the people from before. You slut. Lord Li is mine. The power of role models was endless. If there was one, there would be a second. In the blink of an eye, a group of ladies ignored Mother Hua's obstruction and chased after the fairy lantern. In one of the attics in 100 Flowers Tower, a lady in purple looked at the fairy lantern flying by outside the window and heard the crazy screams downstairs. She couldn't help but sigh. Miss Han is so lucky to be married to such a man. If there's someone who can treat me so well in this life, I, Fong Fian, would be willing to pay any price. Husband, they all seem to like you? On the fairy lantern, Han Yushi looked at the ladies who were chasing after them crazily and couldn't help but smile at Li Zixuan. Cough, cough. Li Zixuan wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said awkwardly, Well, I only like my wife. Even if they catch up with me, I won't look at them. Han Yushi smiled and asked, Then why are you controlling the fairy lantern to pass by this place of prostitution? Li Zixuan, could he say that he was just curious? Chapter 576. In the West Court of the Imperial Palace. The people outside were celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival. Of course, this place was also decorated with lanterns and colored banners. In an open space in the West Court, Lier led a group of concubines and more than a dozen children to stand in front of the incense table and worship the statue of the moon goddess devoutly. There were moon cakes, watermelons, apples, red dates, plums, grapes, and other offerings on the incense table. The statue of the moon goddess was placed in the direction of the rising moon. The incense table and red candles were solemn. Looking at their posture, they should be praying to the moon. Speaking of praying to the moon, the story of saltless praying to the moon had to be mentioned. It was said that the ugly girl of the ancient Qi state, Yin, prayed to the moon devoutly when she was young. When she grew up, she entered the palace with outstanding virtue, but was not favored. On the 15th of August, Yin was praying to the moon. King Xian of Qi happened to see Yin under the moonlight. He felt that she was beautiful and outstanding, so he made her his queen. That was how the tradition of praying to the moon came about. Chang, Yi of the Moon, was famous for her beauty. Therefore, the girl prayed to the moon and wished to be like Chang Yi, with a face like the bright moon. The story of saltless praying to the moon first appeared in the biography of the women, written by Lu Xiang of the Western Han Dynasty. Yin, also known as Zhong Yin, was shockingly ugly. She had a wide forehead, small eyes, a high nose, a big throat, a hunchback, and a thick neck. But in the end, Zhong Yin became a typical representative of the sea cannot be measured with a pint pot, and people cannot be judged by their appearance through her own efforts. May the Tang Empire be free of disasters and have good weather. Li Er looked at the bright moon in the sky and sighed faintly. There were less than 10 months left before the locust plague mentioned by Li Zishuan. He was somewhat uncertain. In the past few days, he had been concerned about the harvest of various places. He even personally went to the farms near Chang, and several times. It could be said that he was worried sick. Your Majesty, don't worry. The Tang Empire is established according to the will of heaven and will be protected by heaven. Empress Zhongsun knew what her husband was worried about. She smiled and comforted him softly. Yes. Wow. Father, mother, look. What is that? Changle, who was at the side, suddenly saw a ball of fire floating in the southern sky. He couldn't help exclaiming in shock. Li Er, Zhongsun, Li Changxian, Li Tai, Li Ku, and the princess of Xiangqing all looked in the direction of Changle's finger. They saw an extremely bright flame floating in the sky, far to the south. It seemed to be moving slowly. Zhao Song, get someone to check if this is Li Zishuan's doing. This ball of flame was very far away, and it was difficult for ordinary people to distinguish what it was. However, Li Zishuan had seen it from a distance on the Black Tortoise Gate's watchtower when he used the immortal lamp to wipe out the 7 cultivators of true virtue. Therefore, he was able to recognize it at a glance. Zhao Song responded and ran out. Not long after, he came back. He bowed and said, Your Majesty, that is Li Xianan and his wife. They are touring the city on the immortal lamp. They are still some distance away from the imperial city, and it seems like they are about to turn around. Hearing this, Changle came to a realization. She looked at the fairy lamp in the distance and said with a mesmerized expression, So this is the fairy lamp. Brother Xiao Xian actually brought Sister Yushi up with him. They are really loving. Li Er's expression was a little ugly. He snorted and said, At least this kid knows his place. Get the guards at the city gates to keep an eye on him. If he dares to approach the imperial palace, shoot him down. Shoot him down? Everyone present was stunned. They were all thunderstruck by Li Er's words. Zhao Song wiped his sweat and said respectfully, Yes, Your Majesty. However, Li Xianan shouldn't be so reckless. Li Er glanced at the immortal lamp in the sky and said unhappily, That better be the case. This was Li Zishuan. If it were someone else, he would have ordered the imperial guards to shoot down the immortal lamp. After Li Er said that, he pulled Empress Zhongsun, who was holding back her laughter, and walked to the back of the palace. He said to the concubines and children, Let's go to Lizheng Hall for the Mid-Autumn Festival. Everyone bowed and agreed. After Li Er walked away, Li Tai looked at the immortal lamp and said indignantly, Xiao Xian, this bastard really forgets about friendship when he sees a girl. He told us that the immortal lamp is unstable, has a limited capacity, and can't control the direction. Now it seems like he was lying. This won't do. I'll settle the score with this kid tomorrow. Li Ku, who was following behind Li Er, looked back at the immortal lamp in the sky as he walked. He thought to himself, Is this engineering? Li Zishuan's engineering is so amazing. No wonder Qingke is so obsessed with engineering. Tunghua Square, Sun residence. Sun Zifen, who was eating biscuits and admiring the moon in the courtyard, also saw the immortal lamp in the sky. Moreover, he was closer to the immortal lamp than Li Tai, so he could see the outline of the immortal lamp very clearly. When he found out that Li Zexuan and Han Yushi were still standing on it, his reaction was exactly the same as Li Tai's. Damn, sir, you're too mean. That day, you told me that the immortal lamp is unstable. Why are you sitting on it today? I think this thing is quite stable. Damn, I've been cheated. I've been cheated. Putting aside whether the immortal lamp was stable or not, the two people on it were so romantic that they couldn't control themselves. Husband, this is the Imperial City. Han Yushi snuggled in Li Zexuan's arms and pointed to the Imperial City in the north as she asked. Li Zexuan draped his outer robe over Han Yushi's body. Just now, in order to bring Han Yushi to see the Imperial Palace, he deliberately raised the immortal lamp quite a bit because he couldn't ride the immortal lamp to the sky above the Imperial Palace. If he did, Li Er would definitely mess with him. After all, no emperor could tolerate others spying on his territory. This was also the main reason why the residential buildings next to the Imperial Palace couldn't be built too high. In this way, the night was already cool, and they still stayed in the sky, so high up in the sky, it seemed a little cold. After putting on the clothes, Li Zexuan smiled and said, "Yes, this is the Imperial City. Isn't it spectacular?" Han Yushi replied softly, "Yes. I've never seen the Imperial City from this angle. It's really magnificent. But husband, if we look like this, we won't attract the city defense soldiers later, right?" Li Zexuan chuckled and said, "Hee hee. That's hard to say. So let's run now." Han Yushi was stunned and speechless. She thought that since Li Zexuan dared to do this, he must have a card up his sleeve. "Ha! Let's go." Long was probably waiting anxiously. "We should go back." Li Zexuan laughed and used 10 dragon subduing slaps to the back. The immortal lamp began to change direction and flew toward Yonglu Lane. Chapter 577. After sending Han Yushi down, Li Zexuan took Lan Er, Xiao He, and Xiao Shi for a walk in the sky for a while before returning home to worship the moon, eat pancakes, and celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival with his family. It wasn't that he didn't think of letting his parents experience the celestial lamp in the sky, but Li Jingma and Mrs. Li firmly disagreed. It was said that they would feel dizzy if they looked down from above. Therefore, Li Zexuan didn't force them. He went home to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival, but his legend was left outside. The appearance of the celestial lamp tonight ignited the enthusiasm of the people in the city. Everywhere Li Zexuan and Han Yushi passed by, many people would scream or chase after them. Until now, there were still many people in front of the Li Zexuan's residence. They were waiting for Li Zexuan to come out with the celestial lamp again. But this time, they were destined to be disappointed because the person they were waiting for was having dinner with his family. After dinner, he didn't have time to go out and had to go back to his room to hug his wife and sleep. The next day, after a whole night of brewing and accumulating, the enthusiasm of the people of Chang and city finally erupted. Every street, alley, tea house, tavern, and every corner, as long as there were people could hear the discussion about the celestial lamp. On the street, 2 big men got up early and prepared to go to work. "Hey, Lu Biaozi, did you see the big sky lantern in Lord Li's house last night?" "Of course I saw it, and it's said that it's not called a sky lantern, but a celestial lamp. Lord Li used this thing to fly up last time when he wiped out the 7 cultivators of virtue." "Wow, how do you know so much about it?" "Hey, I heard it from the servant next door from Assistant Minister Li's house. TSK. This Lord Li is really amazing. I never said that there's something that can make people fly, but Lord Li really did it. It's really the work of a celestial." "Ha! Lord Li is the lucky star that God gave to our Tang Empire. Hateful that some people dared to doubt Lord Li's bragging the day before yesterday. Now, no one dares to doubt it, right? Hey, if that's the case, Then Lord Li's engineering project seems to be really impressive. It's amazing, but what does it have to do with you, pockmarked Xiang? What do you mean it has nothing to do with me? I plan to let my brat go to Yinhuang College next month to try. If he can get in, won't he be able to soar into the sky like Lord Li in the future? Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. How can someone as silly as your steam bun get into Yinhuang College? Why? Why can't I? My little bun has already been enlightened. I'll buy him an arithmetic book and let him study for a month. There's an 80% chance that he'll pass. Inside the classroom of the Hongwen School. Although it was the start of the field break, many students who lived in Chang'an still volunteered to stay in the school for supplementary lessons. This phenomenon was not only present in the Hongwen School, but also in the Imperial College, Chongwen School, and other places. In a certain classroom, the students took advantage of the fact that the teacher hadn't arrived yet to discuss the celestial lamp that carried people into the sky last night. Did you all see Li Xiannian riding the lantern and flying in the air last night? Of course I saw it. It was so exciting. I didn't expect Sir Li to really do what he said. With the power of a mortal, he flew in the sky. This kind of thing can only be seen in cultivation novels. I didn't expect to see it with my own eyes last night. It's so amazing. Yeah, celestial flying on the night of the full moon. I was still wondering what this news meant. I didn't expect Li Xiannian to give us such a big surprise. It's so unbelievable. Sigh, that's right. Did many students from our Hongwen School go to Li Xiannan's house the day before yesterday? They said that Li Xiannian was exaggerating and deceiving the people. Gong Sun Fei, were you one of them? No. Definitely not. I was at home the day before yesterday. Yes, at home. Cui Yunhan went. Everyone knows that. Furthermore, he's still in the Supreme Court now. What I want to know is, did you really not go? Or did anyone else go? I really didn't go. Li Xiannian is knowledgeable and upright. Why would I do such a wicked thing and embarrass our Hongwen School? Damn, that bunch of people really disgraced our Hongwen Institute. Now, even the students of the directorate are laughing at us. Sigh, I didn't expect Cui Yunhan to be such a person. Imperial College. The students' discussions could be heard everywhere. They were even more enthusiastic than the students from the Hongwen School. This was because Li Zixuan was once a professor at the Imperial College. Because of his relationship, all the students felt proud of what happened yesterday. Ha! Li Sai is so amazing. He must have slapped the faces of those students from the Hongwen School until they're swollen. Although Li Zixuan had resigned from his position as the Imperial College's secretary, many students from the Imperial College were still used to calling him CE. Perhaps this was also a form of nostalgia. Yes. Let's see who dares to jump out in the future. Whoever is not convinced, Li Sai will slap their faces. But Li Sai's sky lantern is really amazing. It can actually carry 2 people. Amazing. Good job, Li Sai. Previously, so many people suspected that Li Sai was advocating engineering, but I never doubted it. Because the person who said those words was Li Sai, I believe that he could do it. Indeed, he didn't disappoint me last night. Do you guys know that Yinhuang College's entrance exam is next month? At this moment, it was unknown who said these words. Then, the classroom instantly quieted down. The originally excited expressions on everyone's faces froze. Gradually, some people's eyes began to flicker, but they didn't say anything. Clang, clang, clang. Coincidentally, at this moment, the bell for class rang. The students cleared their complicated thoughts, sat upright, and prepared for class. However, things were far from over. After school, at Chitsu Culture. Hey, Situ Chung, why are you here? A young man in a blue shirt said in surprise as he pointed at another person. Tai Ning. I'm here to buy a dictionary. Yes, I'm here to buy a dictionary for my little sister. Hey, speaking of which, why are you here? I'm here to buy a dictionary too. Puffed. Why are you buying a dictionary? Don't tell me you're buying one for yourself. Besides, you don't have any siblings at home. This. The other student was speechless. He stuttered and couldn't come up with anything. Seeing this, the young man named Tai Ning's expression changed slightly. He leaned over to his companion's ear and whispered, "Are you here to buy mathematics textbooks?" Situ Cheng's eyes widened. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak. After a while, he said, "Are you here to buy mathematics textbooks too? I didn't hear you say you're going to Yanhuang College." "Hey, you didn't say it either? If this kind of thing gets out, won't we have more competitors? What if we can't get in? I didn't expect you to be as cunning as me." T. I'm afraid that if I say it, my dad will beat me up if he finds out. That can't be. Engineering is so popular now. Do you think your dad won't agree? That's hard to say. Sigh. But why are there so many people buying books here today? How would I know? Damn. Look, isn't that Xin Fa? Damn, that kid is here too. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.